Chapter 505. Xianxia took Dummy out of the spirit beast bag when he heard that. Dummy was sleeping soundly, its belly rising and falling slightly. It kept smacking its beak in its dream. Who knew what delicious food it was dreaming of? Xianxia opened her spirit eye and looked closely at Dummy's sea of consciousness. There was no sign of demonic chi reviving. Fatty Dummy, wake up. Xianxia sighed and rubbed Dummy's hair before putting it back into the spirit beast bag. Rest, we still have to go negotiate with the Eagle Men tomorrow. Xianxia hugged Xianxia and laid down. Then he told her about his plan. If we want to take over the tribes in this secret realm, it's best to start small. That way, it won't attract Nangong Yu's attention. Also, the Eagle Men have many herbivorous beasts as partners. These beasts are the weaker group in the secret realm. They're in the most difficult situation right now, so I want to start with them. Xianxia nodded. For some reason, she thought of the long-eared, red-eyed rabbit girl and said, "How about we start with the rabbit tribe?" Okay, I'll let Advisor and Zay ask tomorrow. It didn't matter which tribe Xianxia started with. They had to be subdued in the end anyway. Xianxia slowly closed her eyes and breathed heavily. Then she fell into a deep sleep. Xianxia kissed Xianxia's forehead and placed his hand on her stomach. There was no movement there. It was as though the little egg was asleep. If only you were really the son of life. Xianxia sighed silently in his heart. Then he pulled Xianxia into his arms and closed his eyes. The next morning, Xianxia woke up energetically. After washing up, she went to Eagle Cliff with Xianxia. Yesterday, the rock wall was still yellow, but today, it was completely bare, leaving only faint yellow grass roots. You guys cut it overnight? Xianxia asked Advisor. Elder Bai was worried that a long night would bring trouble. Advisor nodded. After hearing that the grass rice and grass potatoes could be stored for a long time, Elder Bai made a prompt decision to have the clansmen harvest overnight. After distributing the grass rice and grass potatoes according to the number of people, the rest were stored in the warehouse for winter storage. Then sprinkle more water and let them grow faster. Xianxia could understand the eagle race's actions. In fact, she was considering whether she should find a plane to plant a large amount of food and hoard it. She could use it as a weapon to rope in the smaller tribes. However, this involved management and storage, so he had to discuss it with the Eagle tribe and the Naga tribe. I'll go get the people to sprinkle water now. Advisor, send Lady Yun to Elder Bai. Zay had been thinking about the harvest last night and couldn't wait to leave. The military counselor sent Xianxia into Elder Bai's lair. He noticed that the thick mud he had touched yesterday had grown a layer of grayish-green moss, which shone with a faint light. It grew out so quickly? The military counselor was very happy. He couldn't help but want to break off a piece and have a taste. Kid, don't move. Elder Bai rushed out and pushed his hand away. Then he said excitedly to Xianxia, Lady Yun, this moss is really good. There's actually salt in it. Is salt very important? Xianxia was shocked. Did the orcs need to eat salt too? Of course it's important. Things with salt can give us strength and courage. In the past, we traded with the sea race, but ever since the Black Rain, death swamps have appeared everywhere. Even our Eaglemen race doesn't dare to fly there. Everyone is eating the coarse salt that was stored before. If we can't find a substitute, all the orcs will probably have to risk their lives to cross the death swamp. Elder Bai looked at Xianxia with admiration. He wanted to kneel down and kiss her toes. He thought the moss was just a backup food. He didn't expect there to be salt. This was a lifesaver. Do you think we can use these two things to rope in other tribes? Xianxia didn't expect the moss to have such a magical effect. This was not bad. Of course. Not to mention making them submit, even making them swear a blood oath of lifelong loyalty is not a problem. Elder Bai's tone was not exaggerated at all. In the current situation of the secret realm, those who could feed were the mothers, and those who could provide food were the fathers. Not to mention, Xianxia could also help solve the problem of cubs and death chi. Xianxia was now their god. Even he was willing to swear a blood oath, let alone the other orcs. There's no need to swear a blood oath. Go ask the partners of the eagle tribe if there are any tribes that are willing to follow me. If there are, we can go find them. Yun Jioga didn't hesitate to enslave others. She preferred mutual benefits. There's no need to ask. I can guarantee that they are willing. Right now, the closest tribes to our eagle tribe are the ox tribe and the horse tribe. Which one do you want to go to first? Elder Bai asked. What about the rabbit tribe? Zishang was still thinking about Yun Jioga's words last night. The rabbit tribe is a bit further away, but it shouldn't be a problem. How about I have a gu bring with up now? Elder Bai was very proactive. Their eagle tribe was the first to swear loyalty to Yun Jioga. In the future, all the tribes that submitted would be under them. He had to stabilize this advantage in the early stages. There's no hurry. I still have something to discuss with you. Yun Jioga wanted to find a place to plant grass and stock up on food. Elder Bai pondered for a moment, then asked, Miss Yun, do you want to build a tribe and let all the beastmen live together and manage them together? If that was the case, it would be good too. With the current situation in the mystic realm, they needed to be united. Otherwise, those tribes might seem to submit on the surface, but they would have to rush them, threaten them, and even bribe them. It would be a waste of time. That's not what I mean. How much godly power would it take to build a tribe that could accommodate all the orcs? She wasn't in the mood for that right now. We want to build a city of orcs and manage all the orcs, Zishang suddenly said. Yun Jioga's eyes widened as she looked at Zishang. She almost blurted out, Are you crazy? How could it be easy to build a city without demonic power? What do you mean by a city? Elder Bai was confused and didn't understand. It's a tribe built from earth. There are high walls and a moat outside. There are also houses for you to live in. Zishang gave a simple description. There's actually such a safe place? Elder Bai's eyes lit up, but they quickly dimmed. Such a city must be very difficult to build. Lady Z, winter is coming. The most important thing for us now is to stock up on food. I'm afraid we don't have the time to help you complete such a great mission. Chapter 506. You don't have to worry about that. I have a way to build the city. You just have to subdue the nearby tribes as soon as possible. I hope that all the beastmen in this mystic realm can live in my city before winter arrives, Zishang said calmly. Yes, don't worry, Lady Yi. We will definitely complete the task. Although Elder Bai didn't trust him, she still agreed solemnly. Yi, come here. I have something to discuss with you. Yun Jioga couldn't sit still. She felt that Zishang was joking. Take your time to discuss. I still have something to take care of. I'll be leaving first. Elder Bai flew out of her lair. Zishang, do you know what you're saying? Yun Jioga looked at Zishang in disbelief. Of course. Zishang nodded. Then what do you plan to use to build the city? Is my divine power not enough to save people? Even if Yun Jioga had excess divine power, she would use it to plant crops. That was what the beastmen needed the most now. There's no need for you. Just leave Yin Shirley to me. Zishang had thought it through before saying such a thing. You want him to use Yin Qi to build the city? Yun Jioga frowned. Although Yin Shirley was a gold core, he was greatly restricted when he entered the mystic realm. He probably didn't have the strength to do this. I want him to build a city made of earth, not a spirit city. It won't take much effort. The city Zishang wanted to build was a wall made of earth and a deep moat. The beastmen could find a way to build the houses inside. It wouldn't be a problem at all. Alright, since you're confident, go ahead and try. Yun Jioga passed the corpse refining bag to Zishang. She believed that Zishang wouldn't do something he wasn't confident in. Aren't you coming with me? Zishang frowned. We're not kids anymore. Do we have to play with mud hand in hand? You do your thing and I'll do mine. Let's settle things quickly and find Li Wei, Yun Jioga said impatiently. Then be careful. Splitting up was the best solution. Zishang couldn't refuse. Oh, by the way, where are the seeds of the grass eaters? Yun Jioga asked. I still have a use for them. Even if you go to the tribe now, you can't help them plant grass right away. Bring some food to help them first. It would be best if they could voluntarily come to you. Otherwise, Why would they come to you when they had food and water? I got it. Go do what you need to do. Yun Jioga waved his hand to chase him away. The most important thing was to hurry up and return. Then I'll go now, Zishang shouted towards the cliff. Ah Zai, come here. Master Yizi has something to say. Yizi flew over with a potato in her mouth. Take me out for a spin. Zishang grabbed Ah Zai's feet and left the lair with him. Elder Bai only came in after Zishang had left. He wanted to ask but was too embarrassed to do so. Yizi has gone to build a city. I'll stay here and help you reclaim the tribe. What about Guo? Have you told her? I've talked to her. She said that she can represent her tribe and pledge her loyalty to you. She hopes that you can save her tribe as soon as possible, Elder Bai said. Guo was an orphan who had been raised by her clansmen since she was a child. Her clan had been ambushed by a pack of jackals and wolves, and she had accidentally fallen into the river when she was escaping. That was how Agu had saved her. Let's go now. Yun Jioga couldn't bear it when he thought about the suffering of those gentle and weak little rabbit girls. Indeed, cuteness was the way to go. Elder Bai had originally wanted to tag along, but Yun Jioga had strictly forbidden him from staying at Eagle Cliff to manage the situation and take a good rest. The military counselor nodded his head repeatedly. In the end, he brought Agu, Ah Ping, Ah Hui, and the other eagle men with him. Each eagle man carried a bag of about 30 grass potatoes and a bag of green moss. These were all food for the rabbit men. Gu didn't want to bring Guo along, but Guo insisted on going. She was usually very gentle, but when she became stubborn, even Gu couldn't do anything about it. He could only come to consult the military counselor. Of course, the military counselor didn't agree. In his heart, a pregnant female would only be a burden. Bringing her along would just be looking for trouble. In the end, Yun Jioga examined Guo and found that her fetus was stable and wouldn't affect her mobility. The military counselor reluctantly agreed. Tell me if you're not feeling well, understand? Don't hold it in. Yun Jioga looked at Guo's long and soft ears and really wanted to touch them, but to maintain his cold image he didn't. Thank you, Miss Yun. Nodded shyly and fearfully. She also knew that she might cause trouble if she went along, but she really missed her clansmen who had taken care of her growing up, so she could only be willful for once. Agu, take care of Gu. Don't let her fall, the military counselor ordered. Don't worry, she's safe. Gu took out a rope made of silk grass and tied Gu firmly to his chest. Only then did the military counselor and Ah Hui carry Yun Jioga and fly in front. The other eagle men flew vigilantly beside them. The territory of the rabbit men used to be in the east of the grassland. After the disaster of the Black Rain, most of the grassland had been abandoned. They could only migrate to the mountains that still had some green left. Our clansman's territory is over there, said while pointing at a small mound full of weeds from above. Let's go down, Yun Jioga ordered. The military counselor brought the eagle men and Guo to the small mound. Chief Grandmother, Elder Ah Lang, I've brought some people to bring you food, Guo shouted. However, the small mound was strangely quiet. A breeze with a faint deathly aura blew past, and the half-yellow and half-green weeds kept swaying. Xiaoxia, Xiaobai. Guo turned over the caves that were full of weeds one by one, but she didn't find any trace of her clansmen. She was so anxious that her forehead was covered in sweat. Yun Jioga, the military counselor, and the other eagle men also searched everywhere, but they didn't find anything either. Don't panic, maybe they're migrating again? The Gu felt sorry for the panicking Guo and wiped her sweat. No, if they're migrating, they'll definitely leave a mark for other clansmen. Shook her head, and her little face was pale. I'm guessing that they were attacked. Yun Jioga walked out of a cave at this time, holding a half-eaten carrot in his hand. Guo could smell the blood on the carrot. It was the scent of her clansmen. Her body couldn't help but shake, and she fainted after rolling her eyes. Guo, what's wrong with you? Gu screamed in fear, and quickly held her limp body. Don't be nervous. She just fainted because she was too excited. Help her into the cave to rest. Yun Jioga comforted Gu. Hurry up and go in. The military counselor frowned. He didn't agree to bring Guo here before. She was indeed a failure. Gu didn't have time to thank him. He quickly carried Guo into the cave. Military counselor, what do you think about this? Yun Jioga asked the military counselor. Chapter 507. I guess they migrated again after being discovered by the jackals and wolves. After the black rain, food became scarce, and many beasts were starving. The rabbit tribe was targeted once before, so it's very likely that they will be targeted again, military counselor analyzed cautiously. In the past, there was plenty of food in the Mystic Land, so the beasts were not very willing to fight the orcs. Now that the disaster of the black rain was over, the starving beasts became extremely ferocious. Sometimes, even the eagle tribe had to avoid them. What you said is very likely. Can you find the direction in which they migrated? Yun Jioga asked. They seem to have left for a while, so it's a little difficult to find them. Military counselor paused and then said, and I don't understand why you are so obsessed with the rabbit tribe. If it was because of Wu'er's pregnancy, the other eagle tribe's partners were also pregnant. The ox tribe and the horse tribe were also very pitiful, and they were also waiting for their rescue. Compared to the rabbit tribe, the ox tribe and the horse tribe were stronger and more capable. Military counselor did not understand why Yun Jioga wanted to go further. Because I don't like to give up halfway. At first, Yun Jioga did choose to come here because she thought the rabbit tribe was very cute. But after seeing the scene in front of her, she felt that the rabbit tribe did not migrate because of the threat of the jackals and wolves. There must be other reasons. At this time, Guo walked out of the cave with the help of Agu, holding a wooden board the size of a nameplate in her hand. She said to Yun Jioga, Miss Yun, my tribe did not migrate, but encountered a sudden disaster. Look at this board, it's a sign to tell us to run away. Yun Jioga took the brown board and found that it was broken and had a bite mark with blood on it, which looked like it was bitten by a rabbit. This is the board that our chief always carries with him. He must have bitten off this wooden board to warn us before he was injured. Guo held back her tears and pleaded to Yun Jioga, Miss Yun, I know my request is very rude, but I beg you to save my tribe. They are very capable and kind people, and they will definitely be of great help to you in the future. Guo was very nervous when she said this. The only advantage of the rabbit tribe was that they could hear far and run fast, but they were far worse than the eagle tribe and the snake tribe. She wondered if Miss Yun would like them. These grasses were planted by your rabbit tribe? Yun Jioga suddenly glanced at the incomparably dense wild grass. It was clearly much more exuberant than other places. Guo was stunned. She nodded and said, yes, we transplanted fresh weeds from other places and planted them in front of the cave. We also opened up a piece of land at the back to plant carrots for the kids. Yun Jioga glanced at the carrot in his hand, and his heart instantly bloomed with joy. These rabbit people were definitely talented at planting. Miss Yun, being attacked is just Guo'er's guess. I still think they have migrated, so there's no need to waste time looking for them. Military counselor insisted. Even if they have migrated, I will still have to find them. They are very important to me. If you guys are unwilling, then have the Naga race bring them here, Yun Jioga said calmly. She was preparing to plant food on a large scale, and these rabbit men were definitely the best choice. However, Yun Jioga did not intend to explain these things right now. He wanted to see how obedient the eagle men were. Miss Yun, if you want to find them, even if the rabbit tribe goes to the ends of the earth, I will find them. Military counselor quickly expressed his stance. He had no intention of disobeying Yun Jioga. Yun Jioga was quite satisfied with military counselor's attitude. Then let's split into 4 groups and each go in one direction. How about it? Military counselor said, resigned to his fate. The rabbit tribe's tutorial was very fast, and they had always been cunning. It would take a lot of effort to find them. No need. Yun Jioga shook his head, then patted the spirit beast bag and released the treasure-seeking scorpion. Master, did you send me here to look for treasures? Oh my God, what is this place? Why is it so smelly? The treasure-seeking scorpion, which had just crawled out of the secret realm, almost fell over due to the stench of death. This is the forbidden spirit land. Can you help me find the owner of this carrot? Yun Jioga placed the carrot in front of the treasure-seeking scorpion, completely treating it like a dog. I'll try. The treasure-seeking scorpion hadn't received Yun Jioga's summons for a long time, so it didn't dare to relax even if it was a small matter. The treasure-seeking scorpion used its pincers to bite off a small piece of the carrot and chewed it. Then, it drilled into the ground and circled around randomly. When it came out, it said to Yun Jioga, "I found the smell of the carrot, but they came from the cave. You guys can't go in here." Yun Jioga thought about the tunnels in the cave that extended in all directions like marmots. She had thought that those tunnels were used to store food. Could they be used to escape? But those tunnels were so small. How could the rabbit tribe pass through? Yun Jioga couldn't help but look at Gua, who was short but had the height of a normal woman, in surprise. Gua, who felt Yun Jioga's gaze, clenched her teeth and said, "Miss Yun, actually, the rabbit tribe can completely transform into the shape of a rabbit." Impossible. Before Yun Jioga could say anything, military counselor couldn't help but say, "Only the prince of the eagle tribe can completely transform." Gu looked at his partner in a daze. He suddenly remembered the first time they met. He had found a white rabbit. He wanted to catch the rabbit, but it had kicked him away. When he flew back, the little rabbit was gone, and only Gua was lying unconscious on the ground. Gua bit her lips and didn't say anything. Then, her body suddenly emitted an extremely faint golden light. With a bang, Gua disappeared, leaving behind a cute rabbit on the ground. It had white fluffy fur, long ears, red eyes, and a three-petaled mouth. It was the most ordinary rabbit form. Gua! Yun Jioga held the soft rabbit up in surprise. The rabbit nodded and said, "Miss Yun, we didn't mean to hide it from you. It's just that Grandmother Chief said that we can't let outsiders know about this ability. Otherwise, we will be treated as ordinary rabbits and eaten." Your Grandmother Chief is right. Yun Jioga smiled and opened his spirit eye. He carefully observed Gua, who was in the beast form. He saw that Gua's body was shrouded in an extremely faint golden light. Although there was also a sea of consciousness, it was extremely faint. Compared to Dummy, it was like a drop of water compared to a plate of water. Even so, Yun Jioga was still very excited. As long as he found the rabbit tribe chief and waited for Dummy to wake up, there might be a way to dispel this mysterious power. Chapter 508. Don't worry. I will definitely save your people. You can return to your original form. Yun Jioga stroked Wu's soft white fur and pinched her long ears. Finally, it was complete. "No, I'm going to go through the tunnel with that big scorpion to find my people." Gu shook her head firmly. "But you're pregnant." It was too dangerous. "Miss Yun, if I were still in the form of a rabbit person, it would be hard for me to move while I'm pregnant. However, once I'm in the form of a rabbit, I feel like I have infinite power. You can see if you don't believe me." Gu suddenly jumped and landed on the ground. Then she turned into a white shadow and traveled through the rabbit person's cave. 3 seconds later, there were a lot of things in front of Yun Jioga. There were wood chips, stones, arrowheads, and a small blood-stained hide dress. Gu found them in the most secluded place in the cave. "This is Xiaoxia's favorite hide dress." Gu pressed the hide with her front paw. With tears in her red eyes, she said, if they really planned to migrate, they would have taken these with them. "It's okay. We're going to save your people now. Military counselor, go into the first level of alert. If you find any strange orcs nearby, catch them and bring them to me immediately." Yun Jioga looked serious. The golden light on Guo was as rare as dummies. Those who attacked them must have done it for this mysterious power. "Yes," military counselor answered without hesitation. The other eagle people didn't have any objections. "Treasure hunting scorpion, take this rabbit into the tunnel and find the direction in which the rabbit person left. Be careful. Show your head every mile. Can you do that?" Yun Jioga asked seriously. "Of course. My big pincers are not for show." Treasure hunting scorpion waved its strong pincers. When it was just a small scorpion, it didn't have Earth's spiritual power, so it had to dig holes with its big pincers. It was no slower than marmots. Well, you have to be careful. If you find anything wrong, ask treasure hunting scorpion to bring you out immediately. Safety first, understand? Yun Jioga reminded Guo. Although Guo was stronger than usual in her rabbit person form, she was pregnant after all. It would be troublesome if something went wrong. Don't worry, Miss Yun. I'll be careful. Guo nodded. In fact, she didn't tell Yun Jioga one thing. After she was pregnant, she found her rabbit person form was stronger than before, as if there was a source of power in her belly. Although Yun Jioga was a good person, she didn't dare to tell him. She was afraid that her child would be hurt. Counselor, find an eagle man with the sharpest eyes to keep a close eye on the ground and monitor the movements of the treasure-seeking scorpion, Yun Jioga said to the counselor. Ah, Gray's eyes are the sharpest. Let him observe. The military advisor recommended Aqua's father, the cold-looking eagleman Gray with a scar on his face. Hui did not speak, it maintained its usual cold attitude, but it was very glad that this scorpion was fat and big enough, and its color was also very dazzling. Otherwise, no matter how sharp its eyes were, it would not be able to do anything. Yun Jioga had said everything he needed to say, so he ordered, "Good, let's go now." The treasure-hunting scorpion twisted its stinger and drilled into the hole below. Guo followed it closely and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Zhe and Ping helped Yun Jioga up. Ash, on the other hand, flew high up in the sky, its sharp eyes constantly scanning the mottled ground. Not long after, it saw a purple scorpion head emerge from the ground in the east. It subconsciously wanted to pounce on it and eat it. Fortunately, the scorpion quickly retracted its head. Only then did he realize that it was not food but a companion. He hurriedly shook his head and shouted in a calm tone, "They're over there." Then he chased after them with Yun Jioga and the military counselor. Just like that, Yun Jioga and the others chased the treasure-seeking scorpion to a cliff. The treasure-seeking scorpion finally showed its head completely, and so did Guo. Yun Jioga and the others quickly landed beside them and asked, "What's wrong?" "The smell ends here." The treasure-seeking scorpion pointed to a round hole behind it and said, "It's very likely that they left after climbing out from here." Yun Jioga looked around and saw a large piece of black land in the west. There was not much grass, and the swamp of death was not far away. Even the eaglemen didn't dare to fly over the swamp of death, let alone the rabbitmen. She turned to look at the east. There was a very high cliff, even steeper than Eagle Cliff. There were not even many protruding rocks. The rabbitmen didn't have wings, so they would fall to their deaths. "Miss Yun, there are no traces of the rabbitmen nearby." Ash flapped its wings and landed in front of Yun Jioga. The military counselor really wanted to say that the fat scorpion might have led them the wrong way, but he didn't dare to say it. Yun Jioga didn't doubt the treasure-seeking scorpion at all. Although it couldn't use its spirit power now, it wouldn't be a problem for it to track the smell. She was just about to ask Guo what she thought when she suddenly sped up and rushed toward the cliff like a white shadow. Gu was so scared that his soul was about to leave his body. He flapped his wings and chased after her. However, he saw Gu jump toward the cliff. Her four limbs immediately spread out, and the hair under her armpits fluttered in the wind. She actually spun on the cliff and landed on the cliff wall. Then she kicked with her hind legs, rolled, and bounced into an inconspicuous cave on the cliff wall. Gu flapped his wings and paced back and forth at the entrance of the cave. Unfortunately, the cave entrance was too small, and he couldn't even stick his head in. "Let Gu come back. There's no rush." Yun Jioga could already tell that the cave was very likely the place where the remaining members of the rabbitmen settled down. Rabbits were very timid. Although Guo was around, it would definitely take a long time to convince them. Gu would only scare them if he was there. The military counselor personally flew over to drag Gu, who didn't want to leave, back. Yun Jioga looked at the dejected Gu and felt that it was funny. Gu just went in to persuade her clansmen, but in the end, he looked like he was abandoned. It could be seen that the relationship between the two was really good. "Miss Yun, it's getting dark. We have to find a safe place to stay," the military counselor said to Yun Jioga. He already realized that they were going to fight a protracted war with the rabbitmen. Then find a suitable cave on the cliff and take a look. It was very dark here at night, and it was too dangerous to spend the night on the open grassland. Miss Yun, I saw a very good cave just now. It's just beside Guer's cave. Gu said immediately. All right, military counselor, go and take a look. If it's suitable, we'll stay. Yun Jioga nodded. It was good to be closer to the cave of the rabbitmen. Chapter 509. Military counselor quickly flew over to check the cave that Agu mentioned. When he came back, he was a little troubled. The cave is a little small. It's not easy to live in. It's fine, as long as it's habitable. This was not the time to pursue comfort and spaciousness. You should go and take a look first. Military counselor and a gray brought Yun Jioga to the cave. The cave was actually very wide, but it was not deep enough. Sitting inside, the mountain wind blew. It was not a good place to rest. Why don't we change to another one? Agu felt a little guilty. In order to be closer to Gu, he was willing to live in any shabby place. However, he felt bad for making Miss Yun feel so wronged. It's fine, it's quite good. Yun Jioga shook her head, then said to Agu, I must be hungry after being tired for so long. Why don't you throw a bag of grass potatoes in, then find something nearby to start a bonfire and boil some hot water? That way, she can drink hot water when she comes out. Miss Yun is right. Agu's eyes immediately lit up. He flew to the cave entrance and threw the bag of grass potatoes and moss in, then shouted, is for you. Very quickly, a white furry claw reached out from the cave entrance and dragged the bag in with a swish. Agu laughed foolishly, then eagerly flew out to find some dried branches and leaves to start a fire. Military counselor, send someone to find some silk grass to weave into curtains to block the wind. Also, go and find some jade grass that can stop bleeding. There must be someone in the rabbit tribe who is injured. It will be useful later. Her panacea was limited in this place. It was better to use local herbs to treat ordinary wounds. The Ping and a Feng, you two go. Military counselor turned around and ordered the two eagle men behind him. The two young eagle men immediately flapped their wings and left. I'll go out and see what's going on below. Gray was a cautious person. Every time he went to a strange place, he had to investigate the surroundings clearly before he could feel at ease. Go, be careful. Pay attention to our movements at all times. Come back when you hear shouts, military counselor instructed. Okay. Gray nodded, then flapped his wings and went down the cliff. Miss Yun, are you cold? The military counselor spread his wings and blocked the entrance of the cave to block the wind, but the howling wind still blew the hair in front of Yun Jioga's forehead into a mess. No. Yun Jioga shook her head. She didn't feel cold yet, but it would be hard to say later. We'll wait for Hoodlum and the rest to bring the silk grass back. After saying this, the military counselor fell silent for a moment before asking Yun Jioga cautiously, How is His Highness? It's fine. Yun Jioga took Dummy out of the spirit beast bag. The chubby dummy still looked like he was sleeping soundly. His big, furry face was full of happiness, which made people's teeth itch. Miss Yun, is it true that His Royal Highness will wake up in 6 days? The military counselor had always remembered what Yun Jioga had said. 1 day had been taken away yesterday, so there were still 6 days left. Actually, 6 days is still too long. If possible, I hope he can wake up earlier. She had a bad feeling about the rabbit tribe being hunted down today. If these pursuers were also sent by Nangongyu, then she had definitely entered this arcana land for that mysterious power. She had only just discovered that others had already begun to plunder. This feeling was really uncomfortable. He will definitely wake up. The military counselor nodded vigorously, then reached out and secretly plucked a strand of His Royal Highness but hair, hoping to wake him up earlier. Dummy kicked its fat legs in dissatisfaction, then turned over to continue sleeping unhappily. Don't touch him. Yun Jioga rolled her eyes at the military counselor, then kept Fatty Dummy. Since you have nothing better to do, why don't you help me get a big rock? I want to make some stone bowls. Yun Jioga said to the military counselor. They had only brought food with them, not those heavy tools. I don't have nothing better to do, I want to protect you. The military counselor emphasized seriously, then shouted to Gray at the bottom of the cliff, "Get me a rock. Miss Yun wants to make stone bowls." Very soon, Ash came up with a big rock. "What's at the bottom of the cliff?" Yun Jioga asked as she gestured on the rock. "Just some broken rocks and a dead end. There's nothing special. I'll go get some water." Gray just couldn't do it, so she flew out of the cave after saying that. Yun Jioga took out the evil blade that had already become scrap metal, and started to cut and cut on the gray rock. In the end she made a big stone bowl, 5 small stone bowls, and some waste. "What is this? It's too powerful." The military counselor stared at Yun Jioga's hand in shock. Such a hard rock was even more fragile than dirt under her hand. "This is called a blade." Yun Jioga showed the evil blade. Fortunately, the material of the evil blade had a special effect on rocks. Otherwise, it would have been useless if it had been any other spiritual weapon. This is the legendary divine weapon. The military counselor looked at the rusty evil blade with a face full of admiration. "You're thinking too much. This can only be used to cut rocks. By the way, what kind of weapons do the Eagle clan usually use?" Yun Jioga asked again. Nangong Yu hadn't come looking for them yet. When she showed her power, there would definitely be a battle. As a fighting clan, the Eagle clan would definitely be on the battlefield. "We usually use spears to kill our enemies when we dive down," the military counselor said proudly. The Eagle clan was very powerful when they dived down. Even the big brown bear in the mystic realm could be killed. "I thought you guys knew how to use crossbows." Yun Jioga was a little surprised. The Eagle clan could fly and were natural archers. As long as they flew far away to fight monsters, who could get close to them? "We don't know how to make crossbows." The military counselor shook his head. "You guys have been fighting with the Naga for so long. Haven't you snatched a few back to try?" Yun Jioga asked. "We did, but the Naga's crossbows are all specially made. They can only fly from the bottom up. We can't shoot from the bottom down." The military counselor had a look of pity. It wasn't easy for him to snatch a crossbow, but it was useless. They actually have crossbows like that. Yun Jioga hadn't paid attention to the Naga's crossbows before. He thought they were just ordinary goods. The oracle said that they have customized many weapons for all the major clans. She also said that as long as the Eagle clan defected to them, we would be able to get the most suitable weapons for us. Even if we wanted to dominate the mystic realm, it wouldn't be a problem. When the military counselor spoke, there was a hint of yearning in his voice. However, it quickly turned into hatred. As a warrior, he naturally hoped to get a powerful weapon that suited him. However, whenever he thought about how the oracle had made these things to make the beastmen kill each other, he felt extreme hatred. Chapter 5:10. It's fine. I'll get Yi Zi to make a set of weapons for you when we get back. I guarantee it'll be 10,000 times more powerful than the fake oracles. Yun Jioga wasn't bragging. From the moment Zishang said he wanted to build a city, she knew he was going to do something big. Weapons were definitely the most important. This was the difference between Yun Jioga and Zishang. She was more concerned about the health of the orcs and wanted to do something good for this mystic realm. Zishang, on the other hand, was thinking about how to use the orcs to quickly achieve his goal. Fortunately, their thoughts weren't in conflict. They could even complement each other. Lord Yi Zi even knows how to make weapons? That's really amazing. The military advisor's face immediately lit up. His admiration for Yi Zi was rising again. There's nothing he doesn't know. When Yun Jioga said this, she was proud, as if she was the amazing person. She chatted with military counselor for a while and realized the light was dimming. The sky was getting darker. Night was coming. Why aren't Ah Fei and Ah Ping back yet? Yun Jioga looked outside worriedly. I'll go take a look. Military counselor flew out of the cave and quickly returned with Ah Fei and Ah Ping. The two of them carried bundles of silk grass. However, there were pitifully few jade grass hanging on them. It's very empty here. We flew for a long time before we found this much, Ah Fei said guiltily. It's fine. This is enough. Yun Jioga took the jade grass and put it aside. Quickly weave a curtain to block the wind. Military counselor picked up the silk grass and quickly weaved it. Ah Ping and Ah Fei sat beside him and quickly weaved. Soon, Ah Hui and Ah Gu returned. Ah Gu carried a huge bundle of dried branches on his back. Ah Hui slowly filled a bag of clean water with a beast skin bag. Yun Jioga took the bag and poured half of the water into the stone bowl. With Ah Gu and Ah Hui's help, the curtain was quickly weaved. It was as dense as 2 green door panels. Military counselor even made a few holes on the curtain for easy observation and ventilation. Then he flew out of the cave and nailed it. The wind was indeed much weaker. The military counselor lifted the curtain and returned to the cave. Ah Hui had already used the remaining stones of Yun Jioga to make a square stove and started the bonfire. The cold cave immediately became warm. The 5 eagle men crowded at the entrance of the cave, leaving the spacious space inside for Yun Jioga. Yun Jioga didn't say anything. He placed the stone bowl on the stove and poured the dried grass and beef into it, preparing to cook the meat porridge. The light yellow rice rolled up and down in the boiling water, and the brown jerky stewed until it was soft. Yun Jioga took out a wooden spoon from the cloth bag and stirred it to prevent it from sticking to the bottom of the pot. The fragrance of the meat porridge spread in the cave. Even the military counselor could not help but drool. Since the disaster of the black rain, they had not had a proper meal of meat. Although they were already very happy to be able to eat grass rice and grass potatoes to fill their stomachs every day, they were still carnivores. Smelling this kind of meat aroma was simply painful torture. Ah Hui was slightly better. His cold face did not show any expression, but his throat moved slightly. Ah Ping and Ah Feng, the 2 young eagle men, had their eyes fixed on the bowl of meat porridge. Their throats could not help but move up and down, and they were almost drooling. They were really craving it. Miss Yun would definitely not be able to finish such a big bowl. It would be great if she could drink a little when the time came. Even if it was just a taste, it would be good. Aren't you hungry? Why aren't you eating? Yun Jioga asked while stirring. Oh, we'll eat now. The few eagle men took out the dry grass potatoes. Smelling the fragrant meat porridge, it was especially painful to eat. Miss Yun, why aren't you eating? The military counselor found that the porridge was cooked, but Yun Jioga still did not move to eat. I'm not hungry. Yun Jioga shook her head. If you're not hungry, why did you cook such a big bowl of meat porridge? The military counselor did not think that it was cooked for them, or Yun Jioga would have called them over just now. This is for Gua and the rest. Yun Jioga put down the spoon and said to a stone wall in the shadow of the corner, So, have you thought it through? Can you come out and see us now? Before the military counselor and the rest could react, they heard banging sounds coming from the stone wall. The stone chips shattered, and a tunnel that was about the size of a head appeared in front of them. Gua! Agu immediately shouted excitedly. Agu! A small white rabbit came out of the tunnel. It was Gua in her beast form. Agu was about to go over, but the military counselor stopped him. Don't go over. The tunnel was not very spacious. If Agu went over, even Yun Jioga would not have a place to sit. Elder, come out. Gua turned her head and said to the tunnel. Following that, a trembling old rabbit crawled out from the passage, its pair of red eyes filled with wisdom landing on Yun Jioga. Elder, this is Miss Yun that I told you about. Miss Yun, this is the elder of our rabbit men tribe, Gua introduced. Hello, elder. Yun Jioga smiled and said, My name is Yun Jioga. I came from the outside world. Miss Yun, why did you come from the outside world to our barren land? The rabbit elder's voice was different from Elder Bai's. Elder Bai thought about how to lead the Eagle Men tribe to survive every day. His voice always sounded urgent. However, this rabbit elder's voice was very steady. It made people feel that he was an intelligent rabbit. I came here to look for someone, Yun Jioga said seriously. Who is it? The rabbit elder asked. Now is not the time to tell you. I will ask for your help when the time is right. Yun Jioga smiled faintly. He did not take the rabbit elder's aggressiveness to heart. Miss Yun, since you are with the Eagle Men, you should know why their prince can transform into a complete beast form. What do you think? The rabbit elder changed the topic. Yun Jioga thought for a moment and said directly, the eagle prince can transform into a beast form and can even shoot fireballs from his mouth. That is because there is a ball of golden light in his head. The rabbit men tribe also has golden light, but it is much less than his. Most of it is distributed in the body and bones. That is why your beast forms are stronger. You are the most honest person I have ever met, the rabbit elder said emotionally. The rabbit elder sighed. It didn't expect Yun Jioga to reveal the truth without any conditions. This is your beast men tribe's business. You have the right to know. Yun Jioga thought so. Thank you. The rabbit elder's attitude was clearly much better. Then, elder, can you tell me where the golden light on your body comes from? Yun Jioga asked directly. Chapter 5:11. Why do you want to know the secret of the golden light? The rabbit elder asked calmly. I want to obtain the golden light not for myself, but because a demonic aura is spreading in your arcane realm. This demonic aura will turn you into mindless puppets. Only the golden light can save you. Yun Jioga told the rabbit elder about the demonic aura and the gaga grass on the orc cubs, as well as the naga auntie. Finally, he said, if you don't believe me, you can ask as well as the eagle men and the nagas. Elder, Miss Yun is telling the truth. Miss Yun cured all the kids of the eagle man tribe. I saw it with my own eyes, Gua said hurriedly. You're really a kind person, the rabbit elder praised casually. The rabbit elder praised casually before sighing and saying, but we don't know where the golden light on our bodies comes from. In fact, I only just found out about this from you. Our tribe has been living in the depths of the grassland. Our ancestors told us to keep this a secret. We can't let outsiders know that we can completely transform into beasts. Then have you compared the difference between you and other rabbit men? Yun Jioga asked again. Yes, but we're actually no different from ordinary rabbit men. The food we eat and the environment we live in are the same. We also marry rabbit men from other tribes. The offspring we give birth to can also transform, but they'll be much weaker. We can only transform when it's a matter of life and death, the rabbit elder said. At this point, the rabbit elder's eyes immediately became a little wet. He said, this time, our tribe encountered a great disaster. All the strong tribesmen were captured. Only the old, the weak, the women, and the children escaped through the tunnel. Who captured you? Yun Jioga asked solemnly. It was the jackal orcs. At first, they chased ordinary jackals to test us. After we killed those jackals, they didn't do anything. I didn't expect them to be so shameless as to poison the plants we eat. The poison is very strange. The poison tribesmen can't transform, so they can only desperately cover our escape. Resentment flashed in the rabbit elder's red eyes. Because of their ability to transform, they didn't suffer too much damage during the Black Rain disaster. This time, however, most of them were captured because of the jackal orcs. You beastmen shouldn't have the ability to poison plants. Yun Jioga was sure that it was Nangong Yu's doing. You mean the oracle is the one who commanded it? The military counselor immediately understood. That's very likely. How much do you know about the Knoll tribe? Do you know if they have joined the oracle's camp? Where is their current base? Yun Jioga asked. I've never heard of the Knoll tribe joining the oracle's camp. They have always been migrating with their prey. They don't have a fixed settlement. The military counselor shook his head. We, the rabbit folk, have always lived in the depths of the grasslands and have never dealt with the Knolls before. However, the panther race brat had previously brought the oracle's summons, asking us to join the oracle's tribe. Then he would give us weapons to protect ourselves, but we rejected him? The rabbit elder was a little regretful. If they had known that the tribe would encounter such a calamity, they would have agreed to join the oracle's camp. At the very least, they would have gotten their hands on the weapons first. Elder, don't worry. If the oracle ordered the Knolls to do this, then your people should be fine. Nangong Yu only wanted the golden light, not the rabbit meat. Lady Yun, please save our clansmen, said excitedly at the side. Don't worry, I will definitely save them. How many of your people are left? Call them over. Yes, Yun said. My people are very safe now. There's no need to trouble Miss Yun, the rabbit elder said gently. It was obvious that he still did not trust Yun. Elder, I'm willing to save you because I treat you as my people. If you don't trust me, there's no need for me to risk my life for you. Yun really did not have the time to appease the timid and paranoid rabbit folk. The rabbit elder was still a little hesitant. Although Yun seemed like a good person, he did not dare to take the risk if he was not of the same race. Yun did not speak. He directly used his divine power and tapped the stone wall. The stone wall silently disappeared, revealing a group of furry rabbits behind it. The rabbits were jumping around in panic as if they were scared out of their wits. Everyone, don't panic. Miss Yun means us no harm, Gua shouted desperately, but it was to no avail. The rabbit elder did not move at the side. He had no intention of maintaining order. His red eyes did not hide his dissatisfaction towards Yun. Miss Yun. Military counselor stood beside Yun coldly. He was only waiting for her order to capture these ungrateful rabbits. Don't be anxious. Let them jump. Yun was not anxious this time. He turned around and sat down. He called Gua and said, You must be hungry after a long day. Eat something first. With that said, he filled a small stone bowl with meat porridge and handed it to Gua. Gua was originally not in the mood to eat, but she could not stand the aroma. She immediately transformed into her human form and drank in big mouthfuls. She felt as if her internal organs and body were soaking in the hot spring. Perhaps her expression was too blissful. The few little rabbits watching from afar could not help but drool. Xiaoxia, Xiaoming, come here quickly. It's too delicious. Guo went over and carried the two smallest rabbits over. She let them drink in her bowl. The two palm-sized white rabbits were a little timid at first. However, once they ate the meat porridge, they immediately buried their heads in and ate. The rabbit form had a small appetite. The two little rabbits turned into human forms with a bang. Xiaoxia was a little lowly around 5 years old. She had long hair, a round apple face, and big watery eyes. She was very cute. Xiaoming looked exactly the same as Xiaoxia. However, his short hair showed that he was a boy. The two of them should be twins. Yun took the opportunity to open his spirit eye to check the two rabbits. He found that they were very healthy. There were no traces of demonic energy or death energy on their bodies. That mysterious golden light was indeed the root of dispelling demonic energy. The beastmen were saved. Under the lure of Gua and the two little rabbits, the other rabbits also came over to drink the meat porridge. However, only the children transformed into human forms. The other adults remained in rabbit form and kept a distance from Yun and the others. The rabbit elder still stood proudly on the spot without moving. Elder, please believe that I have no ill intentions. If I really wanted to do anything to you, I would not need to spend so much effort to help you. Yun handed a bowl of meat porridge to the rabbit elder. Chapter 5:12. Miss Yun, I know you're a good person, but we really don't dare to take the risk anymore. The rabbit elder softened her attitude, but she did not take the meat porridge. I don't want you to take the risk. Actually, I'm planning to build a city and plant a large amount of food to help you orcs survive the winter. I realize that the rabbit people are very good at farming, so I hope you can go back with me. After I rescue your people, you can reunite. Although Yun sounded very sincere, the rabbit elder was still a little hesitant. I hope you won't reject my invitation because winter is coming soon. The rabbit people won't be able to survive the current situation. Yun looked at the little rabbit people who were resting after eating and drinking. Thank you for your invitation, but I can't make a decision on this matter. Why don't you ask our chief after you rescue her? The rabbit elder said slyly. Sure. I saw some injured rabbits. Go and treat them. Yun did not take the opportunity to make a good impression on the injured rabbit people. Instead, she handed the great jade grass to the rabbit elder. Thank you for the herb. The rabbit elder nodded gratefully. Regardless of whether Yun was a good person or a bad person, at least he was helping them now. You're welcome. Yun Jioga returned to the campfire, added some water to the stone bowl, and continued to cook more meat porridge so that the rabbit people could eat their fill. The next morning, Yun Jioga did not leave with the rabbit people immediately. Instead, she let them stay in the cave. She even asked Gray and the others to bring a large number of dry branches. Ah Gu and Gui stayed with them. Ah Hui, you and Ah Fei will look for the place where the gnolls live later. Counselor, Ah Ping, and I will go back to the tribe to discuss with Elder Bai about rescuing the rabbit people, Yun Jioga said in front of all the rabbit people. Yes, the eagle men answered at the same time and left the cliff with Yun Jioga. Miss Yun, why don't you bring the rabbit people back? Counselor asked in confusion. Bring them to where? Eagle Cliff? Yun Jioga glanced at the military counselor and continued, those rabbits are so scared now. They definitely won't be willing to go with us. Secondly, if we bring them around, won't our rabbit forms be exposed? Before we find out the secret of the golden light, we must keep the matter of the rabbit tribe a secret. Do you understand? Don't worry, Miss Yun. We know what's important. The military counselor hurriedly promised, and the other eagle men also agreed. This matter concerns the beastmen race. I hope that you will keep your word, Yun Jioga said. Then can I tell Elder Bai? Military counselor could not help but ask. I'll talk to him personally. After Yun Jioga finished speaking, he turned to look at Ash and Ah Fei. After you find the gnolls' encampment, just wait for me at the rabbit tribe's lair. Yun Jioga did this because she did not want to tire them out. Also, if they could not find the lair of the gnolls, she and Zishang could figure it out themselves. Then let's head over now. Ash and Hoodlum turned and flew toward the rabbit tribe's lair. When Yun Jioga returned to Eagle Cliff, she saw a few eagle men diligently sprinkling water on the cliff. There were also many eagle men flying around carrying soil, preparing to plant moss in their lair. Seeing Yun Jioga return, all the eagle men stopped what they were doing and automatically saluted her. Yun Jioga returned all of them with a friendly smile. After flying to Elder Bai's lair, she saw that he was carefully digging out the moss on the cave wall, preparing to transplant it for his people. Miss Yun, you're back. How's the matter with the rabbit tribe? Elder Bai was very happy to see Yun Jioga. It's not going well. There's something I need to tell you. Yun Jioga told him about the transformation of Dummy and the rabbit tribe's golden power. Actually, Yun Jioga had already told Elder Bai about the golden light before. However, the old man was determined that it was a God-given ability, so he did not take it to heart. Now that he heard that the rabbit tribe, which they looked down on the most, had such an ability, he immediately became excited. Then why didn't you bring that old rabbit back? I'll ask her myself. Elder Bai, in my heart, whether you're herbivorous or carnivorous, strong or weak, you orcs are all the same to me. So I hope you won't look down on them, Yun Jioga said seriously. Miss Yun, you misunderstood me. I'm not looking down on them. In fact, I'm old friends with the rabbit elder, so I'm a little more casual with my words, Elder Bai quickly explained. Yes, Miss Yun, you see, Gua has been in Eagle Cliff for so long, and we've never treated her as an outsider. The military counselor quickly explained on behalf of his grandfather. Yes, I know you're all good people. All right, one more thing, don't tell anyone about this. Otherwise, the orcs will be in chaos, Yun Jioga warned seriously again. Don't worry, Miss Yun. If they dare to say anything, I'll break their wings. Elder Bai's tone was murderous, so no one doubted his determination. Then, he reported something else to Yun Jioga. After he told the eagle partners that Yun Jioga wanted to take over the surrounding tribes, those herbivorous orcs immediately urged their partners to send food back to their parents' home. Those herbivorous orcs immediately urged their eagle man partners to send food back to their mother's home. Now, several tribes were crying and begging to submit to her. Count the number of people who want to pledge allegiance to the tribe and see what their specialties are. I'll go check on Yi Zi's situation. Whether it was settling down the other beastmen or saving the rabbit tribe, Zishang had to take action. Perfect, Ah Zai is at Eagle Cliff. I'll let him take you there. Elder Bai immediately yelled, Ah Zai, come here. Elder, I was tired yesterday. Can't you let me rest for a while? Zhe ran over with sleepy eyes. He almost went around half the secret realm with Xianxia yesterday. He was really exhausted. Stop talking, take Miss Yun to Master Yi Zi. Elder Bai kicked Zhe. This elder, who only had a year to live, was full of energy. He didn't look sick at all. Zhe yelled exaggeratedly and came to Yun Jioga obediently. Let's go. Yun Jioga didn't have any sympathy for him. Zhe was just putting on an act. He was more talkative than grass along the way. Yesterday, Master Yi Zi made me fly around randomly in the sky. Then he found a small mountain and told me to stop there. It's there. Zhe pointed at a small mountain not far away. Then his jaw dropped in shock. Chapter 5:13. A circle of tall and thick gray walls rose abruptly around the mountain, looking indestructible. Outside the wall was a deep ditch. Although water hadn't been released yet, it was still very shocking. God, there was nothing when I left last night. Zhe couldn't close his mouth at all. Are you sure you didn't see wrong? The military advisor also found it hard to believe. I don't think I saw wrong. Zhe kept rubbing his eyes, suspecting that there was something wrong with his eyes. Stop rubbing, the wall is real. Let's go over and see. Yun Jioga wasn't surprised. Shirley could use magic after all. Building a few city walls wasn't a problem for him. Xianxia had long noticed them coming over and was standing on the city wall. He had a smile on his handsome face as he stared intently at Yun Jioga. The strong wind blew, causing his black hair and the hem of his clothes to dance, but it was unable to shake his figure. Yun Jioga landed next to Xianxia and was grabbed by his hand. How was it? Did it surprise you? Xianxia asked with a smile. It's all right. Yun Jioga looked around and saw a high wall separating the mountain and the flat land behind it. There were many caves on the hill, and it looked as if someone had made countless holes in it. What are you doing? Yun Jioga couldn't tell what kind of city Xianxia wanted to build. This mountain is for the fighting tribes to live in. Behind it is a planting area. We just need to dig the water channel and we can plant the big eater grass. Xianxia began to explain his idea to Yun Jioga. Are you planning to turn this mountain into a fortress? Yun Jioga didn't think the mountain was a place for people to live in. That's right, this is a fortress. If we launch an attack, the fighting tribes will fight here. The old, weak, women, and children will go to the city wall behind, Xianxia said simply. Are you thinking of this battle too intensely? Yun Jioga looked at the things that looked like cannons on the mountain and felt his scalp tingle. This was exactly what a war looked like. It's better to be prepared, Xianxia answered. He didn't tell Yun Jioga about his bad feeling. By the way, where's Shirley? Yun Jioga looked around and didn't see the walking corpse sovereign. He's still working in the back. I'll take you to him. Xianxia brought Yun Jioga to the area at the back. From afar, they saw two figures, one big and one small, building a wall. Streams of energy spread out from their palms and turned into walls. Why did he even release his wife and child? Yun Jioga was surprised. Shirley's heart ached for his wife and children. How could he bear to let them work? It's probably because there are more people, Xianxia said calmly. Miss Yun, you're finally here. When Shirley saw Yun Jioga, it was as though he had seen a relative. He had been mercilessly oppressed by Xianxia for the past few days to the point that he was about to cry. Amazing! Bringing you here was indeed the right decision. Yun Jioga gave Shirley a thumbs up. Shirley was filled with resentment, but he couldn't say anything. I'll go out with Jioga later. I'll leave this place to you. Xianxia patted Shirley's shoulder. Where are you going? Shirley was surprised. A date. Xianxia said seriously, as long as you have your wife by your side, can't I go out with my wife? All right. You guys go. Shirley turned around helplessly and continued to work with a soaring resentment. Yun Jioga didn't know if it was an illusion, but she felt that the yin-yang qi in Shirley's body was even stronger. He was working faster. Let's go out and talk. After Zishang brought Yunjioge out of the back area, he said, Yin surely has been transferring his natal yin yang qi to his wife and child all these years. He has accumulated a lot of yin yang qi. It won't be a problem for him to build a city. No wonder. But it's not good for you to oppress him like this. After all, we're all friends. Yunjioge knew that Yin surely had given his natal yin yang qi to his wife and child in the hopes that they would become zombies one day. I'm naturally giving him benefits when I ask him to work. You don't have to worry about this, Zishang said. What benefits can you give him? Yunjioge looked at Zishang suspiciously. This fellow was poor. Could he be trying to trick Yin Shirley with nothing? Are you looking down on me? Zishang glanced at Yunjioge and said, What I'm giving him is what he wants the most. Can you help his wife and child become zombies? Yunjioge was shocked. He hadn't heard that Zishang had such a skill. Then where did you get the confidence that Yin Shirley would be satisfied? I can't, but Fan Yin can. That fellow owes me a favor. Zishang raised his eyebrows and was full of pride. TSK, you're offering Buddha with borrowed flowers. Yunjioge looked down on him mercilessly. You came to me just to bicker? Zishang ruffled Yunjioge's hair. I'm not here on a date. Yunjioge first mocked Zishang before telling him about the rabbit tribe. Then you're here to ask me to deal with the lupus tribe? Zishang asked even though he already knew the answer. Of course. I don't trust anyone but you. Yunjioge flattered Zishang, which was very rare. You're such a sweet talker. Let's go now. Zishang dragged Yunjioge to the small mountain and saw Lu Zhe still flying around with advisor Junzi. Come down, Zishang yelled. The two eagle men quickly flew down. Master Yizi, you're too amazing. Zhe looked at Zishang with admiration. The eagle cliff they lived in was built after countless generations of effort. Zishang made it like this in one morning. The eagleman's ancestors wanted to jump out and worship him if they knew. Stop sucking up. Take us to the rabbit tribe's nest, Zishang said. Yes. Zhe and advisor Jun. They brought Yunjioge to the rabbit's nest. There was nothing unusual about the small hill that was covered in weeds. After Zishang landed, he and Yunjioge searched the area carefully again. Finally, they found the mark left by Ash in the corner. They found clues about the lupus tribe. It's in the east, advisor Jun. Then let's go find them now. Zhe rubbed his palms together. He wanted nothing more than to kill all the lupus tribe. Just as Zishang was about to nod in agreement, a figure suddenly appeared in the sky, flying crookedly. Yes, oh my God, Fei is injured. Advisor Jun. They immediately flapped their wings and flew toward Ash. Miss Yun, hurry up and take a look at Fei, Zhe shouted anxiously while carrying Fei. Half of Fei's wings were covered in blood. His face was sallow. He had already fainted. Chapter 5:14. Put him on the ground. Yunjioge quickly told Zhe to lay Fei down. Then, he took out the lightning fire needle to stop the bleeding and examined him carefully. What's wrong? Zishang asked. We found the base of the knolls. We wanted to sneak in to check out the situation, but we didn't expect them to have the Naga's repeating crossbow. When we ran out, Hoodlum was injured by them. Ash blamed himself. If he had been more alert, Hoodlum would not have been injured. It's fine. There's no poison in the arrow. Just go back and rest. Yunjioge was relieved after examining Fei. Zhe, take Fei back. Zhe and strategist, take us to the Knowles camp, Zishang said. Zhe didn't want to do this, but he didn't dare disobey Zishang's orders. He could only carry Fei away. Zhe, how are you? Do you want to rest before going? Yunjioge saw that Zhe didn't look too well. I'm not tired, but the Knowles just discovered us. If we go now, they'll be on their guard. Zhe frowned. Don't worry about that. Send us somewhere nearby, and we'll find a way in, Zishang said. Okay, we'll send you there. Zhe and strategist took Yunjioge and Zishang east. The ground was scorched black along the way. The stench of death was very strong. It was a barren land. There were no orcs living here anymore. Why were the Knolls still living here? Weren't they afraid of the stench of death? Even if they weren't, where would they find food? Yun Jioge thought it was strange, but he couldn't ask Zishang while flying. He could only ask when he landed. We're ready. Fly low so they don't find us, Zhe said, lowering his body. Zishang let go and landed on the ground. He shouted to Yun Jioge, jump. Yun Jioge jumped into his arms. Another mile and we'll reach the Knoll's camp, Zhe said after landing. We can go there ourselves. You guys go back to Eagle Cliff. Zishang waved his hand. No, it's too dangerous. Elder Bai told us to stay by your side at all times. Strategist shook his head. This is an order. Zishang did not explain much and sent the military advisor back with one sentence. The military counselor was in a dilemma. He did not dare to disobey Zishang's orders, but he was also afraid that he would be scolded by the elders when he returned. Don't worry. With Yi Zi here, I'll be fine. Right now, I have something more important that I need you to do. Yun Jioge was much gentler than Zishang. What mission? The military counselor asked hurriedly. Leaving with a mission and leaving dejectedly were two completely different concepts. Go and find the rabbit tribe and tell them about us building the city. If everything goes well, the rabbit tribe will be able to reunite in the new city tonight. Yun Jioge said earnestly to the military counselor, these rabbit people are very important. You must love them as much as you love us. Don't worry, Miss Yun. We understand. The military counselor nodded. When he left this morning, he also felt that it was dangerous to leave a Gu alone to protect the rabbit tribe. It was a good time for him to go and take a look at the situation. Hui's face was cold, and he did not interrupt from the beginning to the end. His attitude was that he would do whatever Yun Jioge said. Let's go. The military counselor and Hui bade farewell, and the two eagle men turned and left. Since the rabbit tribe is so important, why didn't you bring them back? Zishang asked curiously. I didn't bring them back because I wanted to keep them as bait, Yun Jioge said mysteriously. You suspect that there are spies around us? Zishang raised his eyebrows. They might not be spies. They could be controlled beastmen. Yun Jioge could not open his spiritual eye to check all the beastmen, so he could only use this stupid method. It would be great if there were none, but if there were, then he could catch them all in one go. Yun Jioge and Zishang ran as they talked. Soon, they arrived at a large patch of dark red grass. The grass was half a person's height, and the redness was unbearable. There was also a pungent smell coming from it. The Knoll tribe was in the center of the grass. These Knolls did not seem to know how to live. They had built a few straw sheds at the side, and it was obvious that they were holding the rabbit tribe captive. There was not a single guard in the surroundings. It was no wonder that Hui and Fei could not help but go down to investigate. There are many Knolls around, waiting for us to walk right into their trap. Zishang's eyesight was much better than the eagleman's. He could see many figures in the grass with a sweep of his eyes. Attack! Yun Jioge asked in a low voice. I'll lure them away. You go and save the rabbits. Zishang stared at the Knolls in the grass. Okay. Yun Jioge lowered her body even more. Zishang pounced forward like the wind and kicked the Knoll closest to him away. The Knoll was like a cannonball that had gone out of control. It flew in circles and crushed countless weeds. Ow ow ow. The Knolls all exploded. They raised their bows and charged at Zishang. Zishang moved like a bolt of lightning, sending the Knolls closest to him flying. Then he stealthily led the Knolls to the side. Yun Jioge took the opportunity to run toward the straw sheds. She did not open the door and rush in. Instead, she poked a hole in the straw sheds and peeked inside. She saw a huge metal cage inside. The unconscious rabbit men were stuffed tightly inside the cage. Some of the rabbit men were even squeezed so tightly that their hands and feet were exposed outside the cage. Fortunately, they were placed vertically. If they were casually stacked, many of the rabbit men would have suffocated to death. Yun Jioge looked around. She did not find any danger in the straw sheds, so she quietly opened the door and slipped out. She was about to open the cage to release the rabbit men when she felt a dangerous aura behind her. She instinctively leaned forward. A crossbow arrow flew past her scalp, creating a huge hole in the straw sheds. Yun-jyoga turned around and saw a tall gnoll standing in front of her with a crossbow. This gnoll had yellowish-brown hair, slender eyes, a black nose, and his muscles were as strong as stone. At this moment, its eyes were gray, and its movements were slow. It was obvious that it was being controlled. Yun-jyoga opened her spiritual eye and saw that the gnoll's head and neck had been taken over by the gray light. It was even worse than Aunt Gaga of the Naga tribe. What did Nangong Yu do to this gnoll? Why was it so serious? Questions surfaced in Yun-jyoga's mind. Unfortunately, she did not have time to think. The gnoll had already thrown away the crossbow and pounced toward her. It was as fast as a spring, and its sharp claws appeared in front of her in an instant. Chapter 5:15. Seeing that the gnoll leader's claws were unavoidable, Yun-jyoga could only use his divine power to tie him up with his moon spirit threads. Unexpectedly, the gnoll leader struggled wildly and knocked the entire straw shed away. Weeds flew everywhere in the collapsed straw shed, and most of them fell onto the iron cage. The gnolls who were fighting Zishang heard the commotion and all turned to run toward the straw shed. Rows of crossbow bolts flew toward her, and many of them stabbed into the iron cage. Many rabbitmen were injured in an instant. The injured rabbitmen immediately woke up and roared in a frenzy, "Let us out!" The entire iron cage kept shaking, and more rabbitmen were injured. "Calm down!" Yun-jyoga shouted at the rabbitmen as he tried to control the gnoll leader. If the rabbitmen were released in this crazy state, they would only die faster. "Get out of the way!" Zishang's black snake tail knocked out all the gnolls. Then he twisted his body and slithered to Yun-jyoga's side, breaking the tall gnoll's limbs. The tall gnoll fell to the ground, but even though his limbs were broken, he still crawled toward Yun-jyoga without fear of death. A cold light flashed in Zishang's eyes. He was about to twist his head off, but Yun-jyoga stopped him. He's completely controlled by the demonic chi. He can't do anything. Killing him is useless. Yun-jyoga took out a thunderfire needle and stabbed it at the gnoll's temple. Only then did he stop struggling. Zishang used the straw rope to tie up all the gnolls. Yun-jyoga checked them one by one and found that their heads had all turned gray, and the gray was spreading downward. Can these beastmen be saved? Zishang could also see that these gnolls were more troublesome than before. It's difficult. Their heads are completely occupied by the demonic chi. Yun-jyoga shook his head. After the sea of consciousness was completely eroded, even if the demonic chi was expelled, only an empty shell would be left. These are the gnoll's crossbow bolts. See if there's anything wrong with them. Zishang handed the crossbow bolts to Yun-jyoga. Yun-jyoga looked carefully. The structure of the crossbow bolts was very similar to the Nagas, except for the arrows. The arrowheads of the Naga tribe were coated with poison, while the arrowheads of the gnoll tribe were gray and ordinary. Just as Yun-jyoga was about to study the arrowhead, he heard the hysterical shouts of the rabbit people behind him. "Let me out, let me out!" Yun-jyoga turned around helplessly and said to the rabbitmen who had bent the iron cages, "I can let you out, but you have to calm down first." "For you." A voice that had experienced the vicissitudes of life yet did not lose its calm was heard. Yun-jyoga looked over and saw a Lolita-like little rabbit in the middle of the iron cage. Her red eyes were filled with vicissitudes of life, and she was staring at her. Yun-jyoga inexplicably felt that this rabbit person was extraordinary, so he said to her, "My name is Yun-jyoga. Your clansmen asked me to save you. I am the leader of the rabbit race. I promise that they won't do anything rash. Please let us out." The leader of the lowly race said in a low voice. She was strangely convincing. "Are you the clan leader?" Yun-jyoga remembered that Gu, or had been calling the clan leader grandma before. "You can't tell, right?" The leader of the lowly race laughed but did not explain anything. It seemed like this was a special disguise technique of the rabbit race. "Indeed, I can't tell. I will let you out now. I hope you won't run around." Yun-jyoga opened the iron cage. The rabbit people did not run around crazily. The conscious rabbit people who walked out pulled out the arrows from their bodies and threw them on the ground. Then, they began to take care of their unconscious clansmen. Yun Jioga wanted to help the rabbit people examine them. However, the rabbit people looked at her with wary eyes. Clearly, they had not let down their guard. I am a spirit doctor. Only I can cure your poison, Yun Jioga said to the leader of the rabbit people. Then please help me take a look. The leader of the rabbit people trusted Yun Jioga. Clan leader. The other rabbit people were unwilling. The leader of the rabbit people waved her hand and took the initiative to walk towards brother Yunjio. Yun Jioga reached out to take the pulse of the leader and found that their meridians had been sealed by a special poison. However, this poison was very light. It could be dispelled without using divine power. Clan leader, I will be inserting needles into your body to force the poison out. I hope you won't be nervous. Yun Jioga took out the lightning fire and said to the leader of the rabbit people. No, who knows if your needles are poisonous? Before the leader of the rabbit people could say anything, a male rabbit people suddenly jumped out to stop her. This male rabbit people was very tall and handsome. Other than his white hair and red eyes, he was no different from a human. Demeng, don't be rude. Step down. Although the leader of the rabbit people looked like a lowly, she was very dignified. She stopped Demeng's rude actions with a glance. Unwillingly, Demeng retreated. Miss Yun, can the poison be cured immediately after the acupuncture? The leader of the rabbit people asked cautiously. If it goes smoothly, it will be cured immediately. Yun Jioga nodded. This poison was not difficult to cure. Then I will leave it to you. Do you need me to lie down? The leader of the rabbit people asked cooperatively. There's no need. Just sit down. Yun Jioga walked behind the leader of the rabbit people and used his hand to press on a few of her acupuncture points. He said carefully, this poison has blocked the acupuncture points of 3 of your meridians. That's why you can't use your power to transform. Later, I will use needles to force the poisonous blood out. It might be a little painful, but bear with it. Seeing the leader of the rabbit people nod, Yun Jioga picked up the lightning fire needle and inserted it into the acupuncture points. Droplets of black poisonous blood quickly emerged from the wound. As the process of detoxification progressed, the leader of the rabbit people slowly aged. Her hair turned white and wrinkles slowly grew on her face. When the other rabbit people saw the transformation of the leader, they did not stop her. It seemed like this was the true face of the leader of the rabbit people. It's done. Yun Jioga put away the needles. The leader of the rabbit people could clearly feel the return of her power. She asked Yun Jioga earnestly, Miss Yun, this method is very useful. Can you teach us? We can use things to exchange for it. Although this method is effective, I do not recommend that you use it yourself. If you don't control your strength well, it can easily cause huge damage. If it's light, your meridians will be damaged. If it's serious, you will be paralyzed and have a stroke, Yun Jioga said solemnly. I just hope that I can save the lives of my clansmen at the critical moment. If it wasn't for Yun Jioga, they would have been doomed. The leader of the rabbit people didn't wish for the fate of her clansmen to be in the hands of others. Later, I will help your clansmen insert the needles one by one. How much you can learn will depend on your own abilities. Yun Jioga didn't plan on bartering for it to prevent future trouble. Thank you. The leader of the rabbit people immediately arranged for her clansmen to sit in rows. Yun Jioga moved the needles rapidly and began helping the rabbit people detoxify. Chapter 5:16. The rabbit people watched Yun Jioga as she inserted the needles and discussed in low voices. Do you understand? I think I did, but she was too fast. Don't we still have needles on us? Let's go back and apply some rouge flower before we study it. She had some smarts. Yun Jioga smiled slightly. She didn't hate smart people. Miss Yun, these gnolls aren't good people. I suggest you don't keep them. The rabbit leader saw the gnolls tied up like candied hawthorns. Her usually calm eyes couldn't help but show hatred. These gnolls violated the ancestral decree not to kill each other and attacked us rabbit people. They deserve to die. De Meng roared angrily. The other rabbit people also started to riot. Everyone calmed down. Yun Jioga stopped the rabbit people and said, "They're just controlled by the demonic qi. They might not really want to attack you." Controlled by the demonic qi? What do you mean? The rabbit leader asked with a frown. Yun Jioga remembered that the leader didn't know about the demonic qi, so she explained it briefly. Are the people who brought in the demonic qi related to the Black Rain disaster? The rabbit leader asked in a low voice. I'm not sure. Yun Jioga shook her head and said, "We'll talk about this later. I'll take you to Guar and the others first, but I can only take you with me when you turn into rabbits." The space in the spirit beast bag was limited. She couldn't carry such a large group of humanoid rabbits. Sure. The rabbit leader now trusted Yun Jioga a little. She didn't hesitate to let her people turn into rabbits. The bag is too stuffy. I'll put you in this spirit beast bag. There's spirit qi inside that can help you recover faster. Yun Jioga used dummy to show them her spirit beast bag. The rabbit people were amazed. After trying it, they were all very satisfied with the spirit beast bag. Yun Jioga finally dealt with the group of rabbits. She was about to argue with Zishang when she saw him standing at a small dirt mound in the distance. Look what I found. Yun Jioga walked over to take a look and found that there was a big hole inside. There were thousands of black stones inside. What is this? Yun Jioga picked it up and weighed it. It was very heavy. It wasn't an ordinary stone. It looked like iron ore. This is a common iron oregon. Once it's refined, it can be used as a weapon. Zishang had been wondering where he could get some ores to refine into a weapon. Now, the problem was solved. No wonder the gnolls would stay in this godforsaken place. They're here for these ores. Needless to say, Nangong, you must have asked them to collect them. This trip was not in vain. Hurry up and put them away. Zishang said with satisfaction. Yun Jioga bluntly put away all the vanadium ores. Let's go to the cliff. Yun Jioga stored the gnolls that had been controlled by the demonic qi at the bottom of the spirit beast pouch, then started running with Zishang. Although she could not use her spiritual power, the spell of 10,000 beasts had laid a solid foundation for her body, and her running speed was not inferior to that of a wild horse. After running for about an hour, Yun Jioga and the others arrived at the cliff. They saw that the grass curtain hanging over the cave had disappeared, and the things inside were in a mess. It was obvious that someone had ransacked it. Yun Jioga's heart tightened, and he hurriedly flicked his moon spirit thread into the cave. Zishang tapped lightly on the cliff wall a few times before floating in with Yun Jioga. There were many bloodstains in the cave, mixed with gray feathers and white rabbit fur. Looks like the spy you mentioned has appeared. Zishang looked around the cave, then picked up the bloodstain in the corner and rubbed it. Even if there's a spy, aren't there still the military counselor and the others? How did they get killed so quickly? Yun Jioga originally thought that with the eagle men and rabbit men around, the spy would not be able to get away with it. You'll have to ask them. Zishang looked at the bottom of the cliff. They're down there. Yun Jioga followed Zishang's gaze and looked at the pitch-black bottom of the cliff. The bloodstains are going downwards, so they should be down there. Hold on tight. Zishang wrapped his arms around Yun Jioga's slender waist and jumped down the cliff. The wind whistled past her ears. Just as she was about to fall, she flicked her moon spirit thread upwards to stabilize herself, then slowly descended. A thick smell of blood wafted from the bottom of the cliff. Two figures were lying in a pile of rubble. Yun Jioga went over to take a look and saw that the one in front was Egu. He was lying face down on the ground, and there were bloody holes on his back, which dyed both sides of his wings red. Behind Egu was the military counselor. He was lying on his back and looked like he still had some consciousness. When he saw Yun Jioga, his mouth moved. He wanted to shout for help, but he could not make a sound. Don't speak. Yun Jioga hurriedly used acupuncture to stop their bleeding. Then, she fed a few of the blood-staunching spirit pills and essence-nurturing pills that she had brought. The effects of the spirit pills were very obvious. The bloody holes on their bodies had stopped. Miss Yun, quickly go and save Guiwer and the others, the military counselor said in a hoarse voice as he struggled to sit up. Who attacked you? Yun Jioga asked. Yes, Ash. The military counselor's face revealed an extremely pained expression. He never expected that it would be his own people who would stab him in the back. Ah hui, how could it be him? Yun Jioga was also greatly shocked. I don't know why he did that either. The military counselor recounted what had happened with great difficulty. When Ah Hui came over, there was nothing out of the ordinary. He even took the initiative to help the rabbit men fetch water and told them about the construction of the city. Just as they were talking enthusiastically, Ah Hui suddenly took out a sharp wooden spike and stabbed them in the back. Then he used the lives of the pregnant girl and the little rabbit to threaten the rabbit men to leave with him. I'll send you back first before chasing after them. Yun Jioga wanted to send the military counselor to the top of the cliff. No, quickly chase after them. We definitely cannot let Ah Hui send the rabbit men to the oracle. Otherwise, the eagle men race would not be able to atone for their sins even if they died 10,000 times. Alright, then I'll go chase after them first. I'll come back to pick you up later. Seeing that their injuries were still considered stable, Yun Jioga did not say anything else. He threw out his moon spirit threads and headed to the top of the cliff. Treasure-seeking scorpion, do you still remember the scent of the rabbit man that was with you previously? Can you help me find it? Yun Jioga released the treasure-seeking scorpion. That rabbit was captured by someone. Who is so evil as to actually attack a pregnant female? The treasure-seeking scorpion shouted angrily. If I catch him, I'll definitely kill him. With that said, it jumped onto the ground and spun around a few times. Then, it pointed to the west and said, There. Chase after him. Yun Jioga threw the treasure-seeking scorpion onto his shoulder and quickly headed west with Zishang. After running for 2 hours, they finally saw a figure flying in the distant sky. It was Ah Hui. Should we directly shoot him down, or follow him to see where he's going? Zishang asked Yun Jioga. According to his intentions, he wanted to cast a long line to catch a big fish, but Yun Jioga might not be willing to let the rabbit men take the risk. Chapter 517. Let's go take a look first. Yun Jioga thought about it and decided to follow. It would be best if he could find Nangong Yu's address. Yun Jioga, Zishang and the rest followed behind Hui and saw him flying towards the death swamp. The deathly aura emitted by the death swamp had a strong corrosive effect on beastmen. Even flying in the sky would be shrouded by it. After Hui entered the death swamp, he slowed down and the feathers on his wings started to dim. However, he still continued to fly forward. Yun Jioga released his god power to create a protective barrier and brought Zishang into the death swamp. After following Hui for about 1 kilometer, he passed through the miasma and landed on a flat ground. When Yun Jioga got closer, he realized that behind the miasma was a gray fort. The fort occupied an area of 5 hectares and was 3 stories tall. It had no windows and only a square door. Currently, there were 2 lizard men guarding it. A few gray-skinned lizard men walked out stiffly and took Hui in. Could this be Nangong Yu's base? She actually dared to stay here? Yun Jioga was very surprised. A cultivator without the protection of spiritual energy was no different from an ordinary person. Wasn't Nangong Yu afraid of being contaminated by living here? Let's go take a look. Zishang pulled Yun Jioga's hand and silently approached the fort. There were beastmen guarding the fort. All of them had gray-skinned glazed eyes and looked like stone statues. Yun Jioga opened his spiritual eye to take a look and realized that these beastmen were filled with demonic aura. It was even worse than the previous lupus. The previous lupus could only be said to be controlled. These beastmen had completely turned into puppets. It was no wonder that they were not afraid of the deathly aura and the miasma. Zishang picked up a stone and threw it at the heads of the 2 lizard men guarding the gate. When they raised their heads to look around, he threw another stone into the swamp at the side. The 2 lizard men walked over stiffly to take a look. Yun Jioga and Zishang took the opportunity to sneak in. The entrance was completely dark without any light. A slightly familiar voice came from not far away. Why are there only so few rabbit men? Yun Jioga stretched his head out to take a closer look. The ones who spoke were the leopard youth and the lizard man who intercepted them when they entered the secret realm. In this lifeless place filled with puppet beastmen, the two of them were strangely awake. Yunjioga opened his spirit eye and discovered that the two beastmen were also covered in golden light that was protecting their sea of consciousness. The leopard youth's golden light shone on his chest, while the lizardman's golden light shone on his ears. It was more intense than the rabbitman's, but not as intense as Daoist. Strange, since these two beastmen had golden light protecting their bodies, why weren't they captured? Could it be that there was something special about them? The rest of the rabbitmen must be with the gnolls. Do you even need to ask? The lizardman said. All right, take these rabbits to the prison and put them there. The leopard youth handed the rabbits back to Ash and pointed the way for him. Carrying a big bag of rabbits, Hui turned around and walked out. Rabbits, I can only help you fight for this little bit of time. The leopard youth sighed. Stop talking nonsense, hurry up and report to the Lord. The lizard man said coldly. Sai, let's go. Hopefully we can make it out alive this time. The panther race youngster gave a long sigh before patting his chest. The golden light on his chest gradually extinguished and black gas filled his body. His skin turned gray and his eyes became lifeless, turning into a puppet. The lizard man rubbed his ears and put away the golden light. After turning into a puppet with the leopard youth, they slowly walked into the depths of the castle. I'll go with them to take a look, bring Ash and the rabbits back. Yunjioga gestured to Zishang. Can you do it by yourself? Zishang didn't agree. I'll just go and take a look, I definitely won't act rashly. Yunjioga felt that he was much more cautious than Zishang. All right. Zishang nodded and split up with Yunjioga. Yunjioga followed the leopard youth and the lizard man to a large door deep in the castle. This large door was made of gray stone and there were all kinds of totems carved on it. There were also two monkey demon corpses guarding the door. Yunjioga's heart tightened when she saw the two monkey demon corpses. In this secret realm, only Chosen could have monkey demon corpses. These two monkey demon corpses had changed a lot compared to the outside world. They had giant sharp teeth, gray stone-like skin, and their bodies were releasing a thick death aura. Their cultivation bases were in the golden core realm. She didn't know how Chosen did this. Yunjioga's heart was filled with questions and she didn't dare act rashly. She saw the two monkey demon corpses look over the leopard youth and the lizard man before letting them in. The gray door was only opened enough for them to pass through, but it was a pity that Yunjioga couldn't see anything from her angle. She didn't dare take the risk of drawing away the two monkey demon corpses, so she could only silently wait. It was a good thing that the leopard youth and the lizard man quickly came out and then slowly walked outside. Yunjioga considered it for a bit before giving up on looking for Cho's senator. She turned around and followed the leopard youth and the lizard man. Seeing their sober appearance, they would definitely be able to give her a lot of information. At this time, a sharp alarm sounded in the castle. The leopard youth and the lizardman's gray light suddenly rose as they charged at the source of the alarm. Yunjioga's pupils shrank and she suddenly shot out a moon spirit thread to tie up the leopard youth and the lizard man. Then she quickly put them into her spirit beast bag. Let's go! Zishang quickly ran over to Yunjioga with a hui on his shoulder. Behind him was a large group of beastmen puppets. Countless crossbow bolts were shot at him, but they were all sent flying by his sleeves. Put them away. Yunjioga threw the spirit beast bag to Zishang and followed him outside. What happened? There was a monkey corpse with a keen sense of smell in the prison and I was accidentally discovered by it. Zishang felt that he was really unlucky. He had knocked a hui unconscious and was about to go find Yunjioga, but he never thought that he would be discovered by a monkey corpse with a giant nose. Although he had knocked out the monkey corpse with his tail, it still triggered the alarm. I followed those two beastmen inside and found two golden core realm monkey corpses. Yunjioga described the appearance of the two corpses. It seems like the ones inside are either Chosen or Nangongyu. Should we go find them? Zishang was a bit moved. Save it, can you beat them? Yunjioga said as he sent a leopard puppet flying. Who says this venerable can't beat them? Xianxia was a bit dissatisfied. Yun Jioge was looking down on him too much. Alright, fighting alone isn't your style. You should go back and gather the Beastman army to crush them. Yun Jioge comforted him. Good idea. Xianxia threw Yun Jioge onto his body and his lower body turned into a black snake tail, sending countless beastmen flying. Chapter 5:18. The monster monkey-eaten corpses are here, let's go. Yun Jioge turned his head to look behind him and saw 2 golden core monster monkey-eaten corpses charging over with spears. The death aura on the spears was very terrifying. Help me, I'll directly leave the death swamp. Xianxia's tail smashed the wall and he jumped out of the castle, instantly arriving at the edge of the death swamp. Yun Jioge covered Xianxia in a layer of golden light, isolating the death aura outside. Xianxia jumped into the death swamp and with a twist of his tail, he flew out like an arrow. There were several fast beast puppets that chased after him, but they immediately sank into the swamp. The monster monkey-eaten corpses looked at Yun Jioge and Xianxia flying away, pounding their chests as they let out angry roars. Behind the gray stone door, Cho Sen, who was studying the golden beast puppets, looked up when he heard the commotion. He called the monster monkey-eaten corpses in and after communicating with them, he found out that a woman and a snake person had come in to cause destruction. Yun Jioge, right? Cho Sen suddenly laughed, his left eye was dark and strange. So what if you are the reincarnation of a goddess? No one can stop our otherworldly demon race from starting a great journey. After Yun Jioge and Xianxia charged out of the death swamp, they wildly ran for another hour. After confirming that the beast puppets would not chase them, they let out a sigh of relief. We have to find a safe place to stay as soon as possible. Yun Jioge looked at the darkening sky and his heart began to sink. The night in the secret realm was very dangerous. The death aura would spread very quickly. Other than the deformed dead beasts, no other animals would dare come out. Even if Yun Jioge had divine energy protecting his body, he would not dare try it. Xianxia looked at the incomparably empty field. He was afraid that it would be hard to find a safe cave before nightfall, so it would be better to make a hole here. He raised his hand and pressed down on the ground. Gray yin chi came out of his palm and drilled into the ground. A round hole immediately appeared in front of Yun Jioge. All right. Xianxia held Yun Jioge and jumped down. He sealed the hole and there was no trace of them in the field. You used yin surely quite thoroughly. Yun Jioge looked around the empty basement in front of him. Everything was made from yin energy. Equivalent exchange, Fan Yin's favor is very valuable. If it wasn't for the special circumstances, Xianxia wouldn't have wanted to sell it to Yin Shirley. It was too cheap for them to help build the city. How did Fan Yin owe you a favor? In Yun Jioge's impression, the handsome monk was always dignified and solemn. He could not even crack a joke. How could he owe Xianxia a favor? I told him that you wanted to take him into your harem, which made me feel very embarrassed. He felt that he owed me a favor. Xianxia said rather evilly. I never thought of taking him in, okay? Yun Jioge glared at him. No matter how bad he was in his previous life, he still had a bottom line. I know, I purposely tricked him. Xianxia purposely made Fan Yin owe him a favor so that he could torment him in the future. You are so despicable. Xianxia dared to use her. Yu Ling was right about him. Thank you for the compliment. Xianxia smiled. He was such a despicable person, and he felt very honored. Release Ash. I want to ask him what's going on. Yun Jioge decided to interrogate the traitor first. Xianxia then released a hui. Ash's usually cold face was very sluggish. He looked at Yun Jioge in a daze. It was obvious that he was being controlled. Yun Jioge opened her spirit eye and saw that his mind was filled with a ball of thick gray gas. Why is it like this? Previously, when Yun Jioge had examined a hui, he had not been controlled. Why did he suddenly erupt? Could it be that the demonic chi was so well hidden that even her spirit eye was fooled? Could it be because of this? Xianxia gestured for Yun Jioge to look at Ash's back. There was a bloody hole there. It was caused by the Knoll's crossbow. Yun-Jyoga suddenly thought of the special gray arrowhead of the knoll. She took out the arrowhead from her storage bag. Zishang released Yin energy at the arrowhead. The arrowhead immediately turned into black and red demonic energy. With a whoosh, it burrowed into Ash's wound. After Yun-Jyoga used her god power to extinguish the demonic energy, she asked Zishang, where did they get so many demonic stones? Why didn't the Naga race use these arrowheads before? If the Naga race also used these arrowheads, the Eaglemen race would have been wiped out. It probably has to do with the user's physique. The knoll is already a puppet, so it can make use of the demonic stones. However, the demonic stones shouldn't be able to turn the beastmen into puppets. They must have used other methods, such as the Gaga grass, to turn the beastmen into puppets. Only then can they make use of the demonic stones. Zishang gave his conjecture. It's getting more and more troublesome. Yun-Jyoga sighed. She kept Ash in her spiritual beast bag and released the leopard youth and the lizardmen. These two were even more wooden than Ash. Their bodies were covered in gray gas, just like the knoll. If Yun-Jyoga hadn't seen them speak, she would have thought that they had become puppets. She injected her god power into the chests of the two beastmen. The two beastmen's bodies glowed with a golden light, slowly dispersing the demonic energy in their heads. Then they opened their eyes. It's you? The leopard youth instantly recognized Yun-Jyoga. Where is this? The lizard man looked at the earthy yellow basement warily. It's safe here. You've already escaped from the death swamp, Yun-Jyoga said calmly. Zishang hid her breath and hid in the shadows. You rescued us. The leopard youth had a look of disbelief. This woman could actually pass through the death swamp and Grey Castle. She was too powerful. That's right. What are your names? Why did you go to Grey Castle? What happened there? What's behind that patterned door? Yun-Jyoga fired off a barrage of questions. The leopard youth glanced at the lizard man. When he saw the lizard man nod, he slowly said, I'm Flowery and he's Big Ear. We were captured and brought to Grey Castle. Behind the door is a man called Cho Sr. It turned out that Xiao Hua and Big Ear were the first batch of beastmen to seek refuge with the Oracle. After receiving the Oracle's order to capture Yun-Jyoga, they had been loitering at the entrance of the secret land. After Yun-Jyoga escaped with Dummy that day, they planned to go back and report to the Oracle. They didn't expect to be recruited by Chosun to come to the Death Swamp and help him capture beastmen who could transform into beasts. Is the Chosun you're talking about a man who looks like a 5-year-old child? Yun-Jyoga asked. No, Chosun is a tall and handsome man who looks very gloomy and scary. Big Ear shook his head. Did Chosun lift the curse? Yun-Jyoga thought for a moment, then asked, why did Chosun capture beastmen who can transform into beasts? Chapter 5:19. He kept those beastmen in cages behind the door and drank their blood every day. Little Blossom shuddered at the thought. You too can transform too. Why doesn't Chosun drink your blood? Yun-Jyoga was confused. These two beastmen were definitely high-quality products. How do you know we can transform? You're wrong. We can't. Little Blossom and Big Ear said at the same time. You don't have to lie to me. My eyes can see the golden light on your bodies. Yun-Jyoga nodded at his eyes, then pointed at Little Blossom's chest and Big Ear's ears. Your golden light is here. Little Blossom and Big Ear's faces tensed up. The next moment, they suddenly attacked Yun-Jyoga. But before they could get close to Yun-Jyoga, they were sent flying by a strong force. They slammed into the wall. Behave, or I'll break your necks. Zishang cracked his knuckles as he walked out of the shadows. He stood beside Yun-Jyoga like an unshakable mountain. Little Blossom and Big Ear looked at him with complicated expressions. That attack just now made them know that this man was very strong. There was no way they could win. Don't be too nervous. I mean you no harm. The demonic air is everywhere. Only the golden light can save you beastmen. Do you know where the golden light on your bodies came from? Yun-Jyoga asked directly. We don't know where the golden light on our bodies came from either. Little Blossom and Big Ear shook their heads at the same time. After he and Big Ear were intercepted by Cho Sen and brought to the death swamp, Cho Sen injected magic stones into them and turned them into gray puppets. These gray puppets were very strong and did not fear death, but they could not use magic stone tools. The second day after Little Blossom and Big Ear became puppets, they awoke to the golden light and regained consciousness, so he could not provide any useful clues. If you think of any clues, tell me immediately. Yunjioga did not expect Little Blossom and Big Ear to immediately tell him the secret of the golden light. If they knew where the golden light came from, they wouldn't be so weak. They would at least be at Daoist level. Little Blossom and Big Ear quickly nodded. How are your people now? Yunjioga wanted to bring them to the city that Zishang built. There might be other people with golden light. My people are still in their original camp, Little Blossom said. Little Flower could guess what Yunjioga was thinking. He immediately said, I am willing to represent them and be loyal to you. You just need to give them a safe place to stay. The oracle looked at them like they were ants, but Yunjioga was calm. The divine emissary looked at them as though they were ants, but Yunjioga's gaze was calm. Lady Yun, I am also willing to serve you on behalf of the Lizardmen tribe. The conditions are the same as the Leopardmen tribe, Big Ear said solemnly. I agree, Yun said. We can. You. And Little Blossom said, but we only have 2 hours of conscious time every day. Little Blossom smiled bitterly and pointed at his chest. The golden light there was fading. Me too, so I have no choice but to ask you to send someone to pick them up. This is a token from the chief. You just have to show it to my people and they will follow you. Big Ear took off a black leather rope hanging from his chest. There was a series of gray scales hanging from it. Big Ear bit his index finger and smeared the blood on the scales. The gray scales immediately turned blue. Little Blossom took off his bracelet. There was a white tooth on it. He rubbed his blood on the tooth too. The tooth turned black. Don't worry. I will send the eagle men to pick them up, Yunjioga said, taking their tokens. Thank you, Yunjioga. Little Blossom and Big Ear thanked him. Oh, I have one more thing to ask you. Yunjioga told her about the gnolls, then took out the arrow made of magic stones and asked, Do you know what's going on? Xiaohua picked up the magic stone arrow and looked at it carefully. He said, I remember that the oracle appeared in the gnoll tribe. The gnolls worshipped the oracle very much. Then they got sick. The oracle gave them gaga grass to cure them. They volunteered to go to the grasslands to collect iron. I don't know what happened after that. It seemed that the prerequisite to consuming the demonic gaga grass was to worship Nangongyu. Yunjioga nodded to himself. If that was the case, then it made sense. Apart from Chosen, did you see anyone else with the oracle? Zishang asked. Actually, we have never seen the god messenger's true face. She always wears a big white cloak, and her face is covered with a veil. Little Flower's voice was getting weaker and weaker. His face was gray, and he became a puppet again. Yunjioga put Little Blossom and Big Ear into the spirit beast bag. She asked Zishang, I wonder how Nangong Li and Bailey Moyun are. She had a bad feeling. No matter what happened to them, they asked for it. They chose to believe Nangong Yu and not them. I hope they're still alive. They were friends. Yunjioga didn't want them to become Nangong Yu's puppets. The next morning, Yunjioga and Zishang returned to the bottom of the cliff. They found that Counselor and Gu were gone. However, the clues they left behind indicated that they had returned to Eagle Cliff. Back to Eagle Cliff or the city? Zishang asked Yunjioga. Let's go back to the city. Yunjioga thought about it and decided to go back. That was her territory. That's right. Zishang looked like she was worth teaching. What kind of boss would run around all day? Of course, it was to wait for the minions to come. 2 hours later, Yunjioga and Zishang arrived at the construction site. From afar, the tall walls were very eye-catching. They could see the eagle people moving around the small mountain in the middle. There were also many snake people helping to build houses by the walls. Elder Bai and Meng thought that Zishang would need a long time to build the city. They didn't expect it to be done in just a few days. The two races immediately came over to take the position. Lady Yun, you're back. Zhe saw them from afar and rushed over. Oh, right, how are Counselor and Gu? Yun Jioga asked. They're fine. They're recovering at Eagle Cliff. Did you catch Hui, that traitor? Zhe asked excitedly. I did. Are Elder Bai and Meng here? Yun Jioga asked. They're all in the mountains. I'll take you there. Zhe said. No need. Go back and tell Elder Bai and Meng to gather all the orcs. I have something to say to them. Yun Jioga decided to gather everyone and tell them about the gnolls. Okay, I'll go now. Zhe flapped his wings and flew back. Chapter 520. Yun Jioga was just about to enter the city when Zishang pulled her hand and pointed to a stone tablet not far away. He smiled and said, Yin Shirley is quite considerate. Yun Jioga followed his line of sight and saw a huge stone tablet at the city gate with two majestic words written on it, Cloud City. I didn't build this city. It should be called Purple City. Yun Jioga felt that she had stolen Zishang's credit. In fact, Zishang had done as much as she did recently, but he always kept a low profile and hid behind her. This is the city I built for you. It's called Cloud City. It's worthy of its name. Zishang smiled. If it wasn't for Yun Jioga's kindness, he wouldn't have cared about the lives of these beastmen and wouldn't have helped them like this. Cloud City it is. It was just a title. Yun Jioga wouldn't be hypocritical and push it around with Zishang. The two of them walked into the city together and saw Elder Bai walking over with the little eagle man, Shui. Miss Yun, I heard you caught Ash. Is he really a traitor? Elder White didn't believe that Ash would betray the eagle men. However, if Ash really did something wrong, he hoped to settle it privately. Aqua didn't speak. He looked at Yun Jioga with his light blue eyes. If Ash was really determined to be a traitor, the traitor's child would have a hard time in the future. That's right, Ash didn't betray you. All of this was caused by God's messenger. Later, I will explain this matter clearly in front of everyone. Yun Jioga touched Aqua's head and gave him a cherry pill. Thank you. Aqua's eyes lit up when he saw this beautiful pill. He decided to give it to his father. That's great. Oh right, the bull-headed and centaur tribes have come to us. They're in the plaza now. Elder White was completely relieved. He knew the eagle men wouldn't have cowards. They've all moved here? Yun Jioga didn't expect Elder White to act so quickly. That's right. We brought food and moss to the centaurs and ox-headed tribes, and they moved over without hesitation. Sir Ian Shirley has already divided the area for them, and they've already started planting herbivorous grass and moss, Elder White said with a face full of confidence. That's right. Actually, the oxmen and centaurs didn't fully believe it at first. But after discovering that the land was actually alive, they didn't hesitate to move over. You've done very well. Take me to them. Yun Jioga needed to get to know the first group of herbivorous orcs that sought refuge with him. They're at the plaza. I'll take you there. Elder Bai brought Yun Jioga to the plaza. The square was very simple, and there was only a high platform in the middle. At this time, the high platform was surrounded by beastmen. There were eagle men, nagas, centaurs, and oxmen all gathered together. When he saw Yun Jioga and Zishang, he immediately cheered, Lady Yun, Lord Yizi. The other orcs cheered as well, as if they were welcoming a triumphant hero. Yun Jioga raised his hand to greet them with a reserved smile, then walked in front of the centaurs and ox-headed tribes. The leader of the centaurs was called Mang, and the leader of the ox-headed tribes was called Blackhorn. Both of them were very tall, but they were so thin that bones could be seen everywhere. The tribesmen behind them also looked very weak. It was said that after the two tribes refused to submit to Sir Divine Envoy, they started to get sick and had no strength left in their bodies. Moreover, they couldn't eat ordinary plants, and could only eat the most tender and clean grass. But how could there be clean grass in this wasteland? The food that Elder Bai brought solved their predicament, so they made up their minds to come over and seek refuge. At worst, they would just die, but at least they could die with Yun Jioga as ghosts. Don't worry and stay here. I won't mistreat you. Yun Jioga simply said a few words to them, then went to the high platform in the plaza with Zishang. Shang stood behind Yunjioga. His tall figure was like a mountain, and a sharp and dangerous aura spread in the air, as if it wanted to steal the air away. The beastmen surrounding the high platform all tensed up, looking at Shang with eyes full of fear. It was only when Yunjioga spoke that the suffocating atmosphere was broken. I believe that Elder Bai and Chief Meng have already told you about the demonic aura. You must have a lot of questions in your hearts. Today, I will explain it to you all. Yunjioga didn't waste any time and directly released the knoll and ash. She then told them about how Nangong Yu released the strange disease, used the gaga grass to demonize the knoll, and made the magic stone weapon to pollute ash. The beastmen were in an uproar. The centaurs and ox-headed tribes' faces were ashen. Their tribes were also sick before. If it wasn't for the eagle men coming to help them, they would have ended up like the knoll. Miss Yun, can they still be saved? What if they get the strange disease? Mang and Black Horn asked at the same time. I haven't found a way to save them yet. However, you don't have to be afraid of the strange disease. It's because your bodies are too weak to resist the death aura. As long as you have a full stomach, you will be able to resist it. Yunjioga didn't mention that the golden light could dispel the demonic aura. This kind of thing was only suitable for private research. Then what should we do? Will we all become puppets in the end? Black Horn looked at the knoll's lifeless eyes. He didn't want to become like that at all. So I need you to move the beastmen of the other tribes into Cloud City as soon as possible. You beastmen have no resistance to the demonic aura. It will only get more and more dangerous outside, Yunjioga said. Nangong, you must have taken control of many tribes. He had to save them as soon as possible. The boar people next door also got the strange disease. I will go find them tomorrow, Blackhorn said quickly. The boar people were too arrogant and didn't believe Elder Bai's words, so they didn't follow them. Next, I will research a new way to dispel the demonic aura. If you need anything, you can go find Elder Bai and Chief Meng. They will be in charge of everything in and out of the city. Yunjioga called Elder Bai and Meng over. The two beastmen held their heads high and were very proud. They felt that the wisest decision in their lives was to seek refuge with Yunjioga. I will leave the matters of Cloud City to you. If there's anything you don't understand, ask me. Yunjioga finished speaking and left the small plaza. The most important thing now was to find out the secret of the golden light and absorb it before Nangong Yu did. Why don't you take the opportunity to find Li Wei? Shang didn't understand. He felt that Yunjioga was wasting too much time on saving these beastmen. I did a divination a while ago and found that Li Wei is currently very safe. We don't need to go find him. He will appear when he needs to. If we carelessly reveal his whereabouts, it will be disadvantageous to him, Yunjioga said. Chapter 521. You mean, Nangong Yu and Chosun don't know Li Wei is here? Shang raised a brow. They will only think that Yun Wei is here. Other than Yunjioga and Shang, no one else knew that Yun Wei was Li Wei's reincarnation. Don't underestimate the difference. Yun Wei was just a pill master, but Li Wei was her divine guard. Nangong Yu would make a wrong judgment if she didn't know his true identity. This was the best protection for Li Wei. If Yunjioga went to find Li Wei openly, it would help Nangong Yu set a direction. I see. Shang was very confident in Yunjioga's divination skills. Yunjioga and Shang came to an empty house and let Gua and the rabbit elder out. He wanted to check if they were injured. However, the rabbit elder said angrily, "You lied to us." I didn't. You should have heard what I said at the square. Ahui didn't capture you on purpose. Yunjioga felt helpless. These rabbits were really sensitive and suspicious. The slightest movement could make them flip out. You said you would save our people. Where are they now? The rabbit elder pressed. Yunjioga let the rabbit leader out. Leader. Elder. The two old rabbits hugged each other and started crying. They didn't look wise at all. Miss Yun, how's a gu? Gua ran to Yunjioga and asked with red eyes. When she was captured, she only saw a gu fall to the bottom of the cliff with heavy injuries. He's fine. He's recovering at Eagle Cliff. If you want to see him, I'll get Aze to send you there. Yun Jioga said while checking Guo's pulse. Luckily, Guo was very healthy and the baby was fine. Guo looked at the leader and the elder hesitantly and shook her head. I'll go see Gu later. The elder had a huge misunderstanding about Miss Yun. She was worried that the elder would leave with his people in a fit of anger. She could stay and persuade them. Yun Jioga looked at the rabbit leader and elder who were hugging each other and said, if you don't want to stay, I won't force you. Find Elder Bai if you have any problems. Then, he turned and walked out of the house. You're too kind to them. Zi Shang's expression was a little displeased. Those rabbits didn't know what was good for them, so they should be locked up and taught a lesson. Or they could be directly used for research. There are so many shape-shifting orcs. They're not the only ones we need. When Dummy wakes up, he'll know the secret of the golden light. If the rabbit tribe was the only answer, Yun Jioga would harden her heart and deal with them, but she didn't want to be the bad guy right now. Alright. Zi Shang had originally wanted to secretly make the rabbit tribe suffer a little. Now that he saw that Yun Jioga really didn't care about it at all, he dispelled that thought. Yun Jioga came to the guest hall and ordered Aze, call Elder Bai over. Aze nodded and called Elder Bai over. Miss Yun, have you rescued the rabbit tribe? Elder Bai asked as soon as she sat down. The military counselor had already told her that Guo could transform. He really hoped that Yun Jioga could find the secret of the golden light from the rabbit tribe. That way the orc race would be saved. Yes, but they don't know the secret of the golden light. We can only wait for Dummy to wake up to know the answer. Yun Jioga was worried that Elder Bai would harm the rabbit tribe, so she helped them. It seems we still have to rely on our prince. Elder Bai felt it was a pity, but for some reason he felt proud. That's right, we can only rely on him. Yun Jioga's affirmation made Elder Bai even more proud. By the way, the Divine Messenger has already set up a secret base in the Death Swamp to capture shape-shifting orcs everywhere. You must speed up the rescue operation. Also, send people to escort the leopard tribe and lizard tribe back. Yun Jioga took out Little Flower and Big Ear's keepsakes. Yes. Elder Bai took the keepsakes solemnly and began to think about how to complete this mission. This was different from taking back the Centaur tribe and the Ox-Human tribe. This was a mission personally issued by Yun Jioga. If he couldn't complete it perfectly, it would be troublesome. Yun Jioga sent Elder Bai away and was about to rest when she heard Aze say that the rabbit tribe's leader and elder wanted to see her. Let them in. Yun Jioga nodded. These rabbits discussed very quickly. Lady Yun, we've decided. We hope to stay in Yun City, the rabbit tribe's leader and elder said respectfully to Yun Jioga. Sure, I'll tell Meng to arrange it for you. Yun Jioga was letting Elder Bai lead the Eagle tribe against the outside world and Meng lead the Serpent tribe against the inside world. This was their reward for joining him first. Lady Yun, I was too emotional before and was disrespectful to you. Please forgive me, the rabbit tribe's leader said guiltily. It's nothing I can understand. Yun Jioga then put on a look that said, what else do you want? The rabbit tribe's leader and elder glanced at each other. Then, the rabbit tribe's leader walked up and said to Yun Jioga, you asked about the origin of the golden light in our bodies. I thought about it and remembered that the ancestors left some clues. Clues? Yun Jioga raised an eyebrow. These rabbits were indeed hiding something. Lady Yun, before I tell you this clue, I hope that you can fulfill a few small requests of our rabbit tribe, the tribe's leader said bravely. Say it. As long as it's not too excessive, I can fulfill it. Yun Jioga didn't dislike the rabbit's petty thoughts as long as they didn't go overboard. First, I hope that you can choose a suitable base in the city, the tribe's leader said carefully. You can only choose a base that hasn't been occupied. Yun Jioga wouldn't chase away other beastmen for them. Of course, the tribe's leader said hurriedly. All right, what's the second request? Yun Jioga saw that the tribe's leader didn't look like an idiot. He probably wouldn't make any ridiculous requests. Second, I hope that you can accept De Meng as your guard. He's the strongest warrior of our rabbit tribe and also the fastest beastman in transformation. With him around, your safety will be guaranteed. The rabbit tribe's leader spoke of Demeng proudly. Sure. Yun Jioga nodded. Demeng's male rabbit looked quite strong. Lady Yun, you are so generous. I thank you on behalf of the rabbit tribe. The rabbit tribe's leader knew when to stop. You only have these 2 requests? Yun Jioga was very surprised. These were just 2 small requests. Even if they didn't use the clues about the golden light, she would still agree. Chapter 522. Yes, that's all. The leader nodded. Of course, she wanted more, but greedy rabbits didn't make people like them. I can give you 2 more requests. Tell me when you think of them. Yun Jioga didn't want to take advantage of these 2 rabbits. Thank you for your kindness. The leader of the rabbits was happy. She knew Yun Jioga was a generous person. She wouldn't lose out if she followed him. Okay, now tell me what the clue is, Yun Jioga said. It's blood, the leader of the rabbits said seriously. Blood. Yun Jioga immediately thought of what Little Flower had said. Cho Sen had captured the orcs and locked them in cages to drink their blood. Could drinking blood absorb the power of the golden light? If that was true, wasn't the leader of the rabbits afraid that he would eat them? Yes, it's our blood. After we give birth to our children, we feed them a little of our blood to stimulate their strength. However, this method only works on our people. It doesn't work on other beastmen, including the other group of rabbit people. The rabbit chief was gambling that Yun Jioga wouldn't hurt them by revealing this secret. I need some of your blood to prove this. Yun Jioga didn't think the rabbits were lying, but he still had to verify it. Of course, you can take mine, the leader of the rabbits said. No, take mine. The rabbit elder, who hadn't said anything, walked forward. Her red eyes looked at Yun Jioga and said, If you need, I can stay by your side and let you examine me. You don't have to be so nervous. You aren't the only orcs that can transform. Yun Jioga told them about Little Flower and Big Ear. He wanted the rabbit people to relax. I didn't expect Little Flower and Big Ear to have the golden light. It looks like the secret of the golden light is deep. The leader of the rabbits and the elder knew Little Flower and Big Ear. They relaxed when they heard they had companions. You can take the blood yourself. I want the blood of all of your people. I don't need too much. 1 bottle is enough for each of you. Yun Jioga took out a few hundred transparent crystal bottles that were the size of a thumb. He said, Remember to write the names on the bottles. Don't confuse them. The rabbit elder and the leader took the bottles and left respectfully. After the 2 left Yun Jioga's house, they sighed in relief. They were both glad that they had survived. Telling a secret like this had put a lot of pressure on them. Luckily, Yun Jioga's reaction was within their expectations. I hope we weren't wrong. The rabbit elder laughed bitterly. She was a pessimist by nature, so this kind of adventure did not suit her. However, she had no other choice. She had just walked around with the elder and was stunned by the majestic castle. She had just gone out for a stroll with the elder and was stunned by this majestic castle. Without a doubt, this kind of castle would become the beastman's reliance to resist the cold, hunger, and death. Currently, the eagle men and nagas had already gained a foothold in the castle, while the centaurs and oxmen had arrived earlier than them. In the future, they would also be put in an important position. The rabbit tribe was finished. Previously, they had been disrespectful to Yun Jioga. Even if they could stay in Cloud City, they would be at the bottom. The rabbit tribe leader didn't want this to happen. In order to gain a place in Cloud City, she took the risk to reveal the secret. Let's go. Let's choose a base before drawing the blood of our tribesmen. The rabbit chief had already chosen to believe Yun Jioga. Thus, he did not think too much about it. They led their clansmen to choose a fertile place to settle down, then asked Great Meng to send the blood samples of all their clansmen over. Put it there. Yun Jioga had already remodeled his house. There was a row of wooden racks by the wall that were specially used to store blood samples. At this time, there were already 3 tubes of blood on it. They belonged to Dummy, Xiaohua, and Big Ear. De Meng carefully poured all the blood into it, then looked at Yun Jioga in awe. Miss Yun, do you have any other orders? Yun Jioga was taking notes. Without raising his head, he said, "There's nothing else. You can go down now." After Demeng left, he automatically stood guard at the left door. Zhe, who was dozing off to the right, saw Demeng and said unhappily, "Rabbit, go back to where you belong after delivering the things. Don't block the way." "This is where I should go." Demeng looked at Zhe coldly. "The place you should go is the rabbit house, not here." Zhe raised his eyebrows and made a fierce look. "Miss Yun has already agreed to take me as a guard. You have no right to chase me away." Demeng raised his chin and looked at Zhe with disdain. "That's impossible. Only the eagle men can be Miss Yun's guard. You're just a male rabbit. What right do you have to steal our position?" Zhe realized that he was being looked down upon by a rabbit. He was furious. They had fought with the Naga several times to get the position of guard. "Because I can defeat you," Demeng said in a low voice. Before coming, the chief told him that he didn't need to hide his power. He had to let Miss Yun see his value. "Huh? A rabbit dares to say that he can defeat me?" Zhe thought this male rabbit was crazy. "If you don't believe me, come and try." Demeng showed a provocative expression. "I'll beat you to death." Zhe immediately flapped his wings and charged at Demeng. His fist brought with it a sharp sound of wind. Demeng rolled on the ground and dodged to the side. "Little rabbit, how come you're down before I even hit you?" Zhe laughed. Just when he was about to give Demeng a lesson, he felt a pain in his chest. His body flew out involuntarily. Demeng jumped up from the ground and chased after Zhe with extreme speed. His fists landed on Zhe's body, pressing him to the ground and beating him up. The orcs who passed by surrounded them and cheered as they watched the commotion. "Zhe, aren't you an eagleman? How come you're beaten up like this by the rabbitmen?" "Ha, rabbits used to be the food of eagles. Now it's the other way around." Elder Bai heard the commotion and rushed over. Seeing that Zhe was beaten black and blue, he was about to go up and stop him. "Don't move." Yun Jioga stopped Elder Bai. She had heard the commotion and came out. "Miss Yun, if you continue, Zhe will go crazy. Then, that male rabbit will be in danger," Elder Bai said urgently. "Zhe will go crazy? What does that mean?" Yun Jioga's heart jumped. Don't think that Zhe looks dumb and easy to bully. When he's really angry, he's very scary. Elder Bai hurriedly recounted Zhe's past. Chapter 523. His parents passed away when he was very young, leaving his brother, who was 3 years younger than him, to depend on each other. The tribe would distribute food to them regularly, but it wasn't enough to fill their stomachs. One day, Zhe saw that his brother was very hungry, so he sneaked him out of Eagle Cliff to pick fruits. He didn't expect to enter the territory of Gale wolf rabbits. Gale wolf rabbits were mutated species. They looked like rabbits but were crueler and more ferocious than wolves. The Gale wolf rabbit tore Zhe's brother apart and swallowed him. At the time, Zhe was only 10. When he saw his brother get killed, he suddenly went crazy. Not only did he kill the rabbits, but he also injured the people who went to find them. Later on, the old tribe leader personally brought him back. Elder Bai still had lingering fear when he talked about the past. Zhe, who was covered in wolf blood, was as scary as a demon. Although he returned to normal after waking up, he would lose control when he saw the Gale wolf rabbit. He would even be very aggressive when he saw the rabbit race. It wasn't until Agu's rabbit companion, Gu, appeared that his hostility toward the rabbit race decreased. But now that he was being suppressed by Demeng, he might very well go crazy. It would be too late to stop him. Was the golden light the reason for Zhe's madness? Yun Jioga was still mulling over this problem when he heard Zishang say coldly, "Zhe, it was because you were too useless that your brother was killed by the Gale wolf rabbit." "What are you talking about?" Zishang was clearly rubbing salt on Zhe's wound. Yun Jioga wanted to beat him to death. Zhe, who was waving his fists randomly, immediately froze when he heard Zishang's words. Demeng flipped away from Zhe. He just wanted to prove his power. He didn't want to hurt others. Zay, are you okay? Elder Bai asked worriedly. Zay looked up. His eagle eyes were eerily red. He let out a shrill scream and leaped toward Great Meng crazily. De Meng blocked with his hand but felt his arm was about to break. He couldn't help but fly back. He quickly steadied himself and counterattacked, punching at Zay's ribs. Zay dodged to the side and fought with De Meng. Hurry up and open your spirit eye to check. Zishang urged Yunjioga. I already opened it. Yunjioga opened his spirit eye and found that Zay's golden light was like a burning flame. The fuel was his life force. Quick, capture Zay. Yunjioga said urgently. If this continued, Zay would really go crazy. Zishang immediately stopped Zay. Zay struggled with all his might, almost flipping Deceased sword over. Yunjioga flicked out his moon spirit threads and tied him up. Then, he quickly pricked him with needles to let out his blood. Zay's meridians were blocked. The golden light gradually faded, but he was unconscious. Is Zay okay? Elder Bai quickly came over. I'm fine. I just need to rest for a few days. Yunjioga stood up and looked at De Meng. You're injured. Do you want to go back and rest? No need, it's just a superficial wound. De Meng shook his head. The golden light on his body could heal wounds. Zay was strong, but he didn't deal a fatal injury to him. That's good. Yunjioga took Zay in to get his blood drawn and let Elder Bai send him back to Eagle Cliff. At this time, Yunjioga had already received 4 blood samples and placed them on the wooden shelves. The Leopard Men race and the Lizard Men race each took charge. The Eagle Men race had 2. The Rabbit Men race had 500. The blood samples of the 4 races were clearly different. The Leopard Men and Lizard Men races' blood was a little gray. It looked like they were slightly infected by devil chi. The Rabbit Men race's blood was very light. Some of it might have been absorbed by their bones, skin, and flesh. Zay's blood was fiery red. This was a special characteristic of his berserk race. Dummy's blood was the brightest. It was golden and warm. It was also the thickest of all the blood samples. Yunjioga tried to put the Rabbit Men race's blood together with the Eagle Men and Leopard Men race's blood. There was a violent collision between the two. In the end, they melted into a pool of blood. If their blood is incompatible, why did Chosun suck their blood? Zishang asked. Maybe he's practicing some technique that can counteract this effect. Yunjioga guessed. Looks like I still have to drag him out of Grey Castle and ask him. Zishang rubbed his chin. He was thinking about how to attack Grey Castle. First, you have to get rid of the death chi and miasma. This Feifei can help. Second, you have to get rid of the puppet orcs. This is a little troublesome, Yunjioga analyzed. Because the puppet orcs were not afraid of death or pain. Ordinary orcs could not do that. Grey Castle should have many magic stone tools. Ordinary orcs could not resist them. In the current situation, we can only make the orcs awaken the golden light as soon as possible. If we can awaken a golden light orc army, then attacking Grey Castle will not be a problem. Zishang thought for a while and said, so far, it seems that there are 3 ways to awaken the orcs. First, blood inheritance. Second, the death of a loved one. Third, life and death. We just have to simulate these 3 situations and throw the orcs in. Then, we can harvest a large number of golden light orcs. This is just a hypothesis. We can't test it before we are sure. Yunjioga glared at Zishang. This was the key to conquering the orc tribe. What if they were scared away? Then I hope you can test it as soon as possible. Time is limited. Cho Sen and Nangong, you will not sit still and wait for us to catch up. Zishang shrugged. Instead of boasting to me here, why don't you go and help Elder Bai and Meng? The more orcs you gather, the closer we will be to the golden light. Yunjioga said as he pushed Zishang out of the door to prevent him from causing trouble. After driving Zishang out, Yunjioga called Meng over. Miss Yun, what can I do for you? He looked at Yunjioga fervently. Elder Bai had been summoned many times, and even the rabbit tribe leader had come once. However, he had not been summoned even once. He was really worried that the Naga tribe had fallen out of favor. Meng, how many orcs are controlled by the demonic energy? Yun Jioga asked. There are 10 now. 5 are nagas, 3 are centaurs and 2 are bulls. Meng's voice was heavy. It was all his fault for leading his people to seek refuge with the oracle. That was why his people were controlled. If they had not met Yun Jioga, they would have ended up like the Knoll tribe. Bring them to the house at the back of the mountain. I will see if I can cure them. The area at the back of the mountain had been designated as a prison by Yin Shirley. Yun Jioga planned to conduct his experiment on activating the orc's golden light there. I will bring them there now. Meng turned around and left. Just as Yun Jioga was about to move the blood sample and the wooden frame to the back of the mountain, Meng came in and reported that the military advisor of the Eagle tribe was requesting an audience. Tell him to wait for me in the guest hall. Yun Jioga put the blood sample and the wooden frame into his storage bag and walked out of the guest hall. Miss Yun. The military advisor quickly stood up when he saw Yun Jioga. He placed his fist on his left chest and saluted. Chapter 524. Sit. How's your injury? Yun Jioga saw that counselor looked fine. He should have recovered well. My injury is healed thanks to you. Agu has woken up too. He's with Guar in the city. Counselor sat down. Wait a moment. When Yun Jioga heard this, he called Meng in and said, Later, tell Chief Meng to remember all the pregnant beastmen. Every morning, I will check on them in the house beside the plaza. Then, I will give each pregnant woman an extra portion of food. Sir. Meng answered loudly and went out. Lady Yun, you only have Meng as your bodyguard. I'm afraid it won't be enough. Why don't I send Ah Ping and Ah Fei over? The military advisor asked carefully. No need. Zai is enough. Yun Jioga shook his head. She could protect herself. She didn't need so many orcs as guards. Zai is your guard, but he lost control when he was on duty. He failed to live up to your trust. Counselor lowered his head in shame. If Zai wasn't still unconscious, he would have tied him up and dragged him over. They finally got a good position next to Lady Yun because of the human race, but it was ruined by Zai. Don't blame Zai. He'll still be my guard when he recovers, Yun Jioga said. I'm afraid he won't have the face to see you. Counselor shook his head. Yun Jioga thought about it and said, How about this? I'm going to set up a personal guard team. There will be 2 eagle people, snake people, rabbit people, centaur people and bull people. Zai will be the captain and Aman will be the vice captain. What do you think? If Zai is the captain, the whole team will fall apart. Counselor showed an exaggerated expression. Although he was grateful for Yun Jioga's trust in the eagle people, Zai was really unreliable. Then let him be the vice captain. Yun Jioga smiled and said, I recently discovered some clues that might be able to stimulate the golden light in an orc's body. Do you want to investigate it with me? The military advisor was quite smart, and it would be good to have him as an assistant. It's my honor. Counselor suppressed his excitement and bowed to Yun Jioga. Then go to the back mountain and see if Meng brought the orcs there. Yun Jioga said. After the military counselor left, Yun Jioga called Aman in and asked him to inform the Beastman Patriarch to select his personal guards. I'll go now. Meng did not know that he was about to become the team leader. He was overjoyed when he heard that he could choose another rabbit man. Yun Jioga left the meeting hall and went to the back of the mountain. There was a large wall at the back of the mountain, and inside it was a low gray prison cell. The prison had 2 floors, and there were more than 10 small cells on the ground. The dungeon was used to hold important people. Yun Jioga pushed the door open and walked into the cell. He saw that Meng and the military advisor had already placed the out-of-control orc in a large cell. Among the Nagas were Aunt Gaga and 4 middle-aged female Nagas who used to plant the Gaga grass. The centaurs were 2 aunties, while the oxen were 2 youths. Both of their expressions were numb, their eyes lifeless. These people are controlled because they have been in contact with the magic stone for a long time. Meng briefly explained their situation. I got it. You can go back to your work. Yun Jioga waved his hand and left respectfully. Miss Yun, How do you plan to test their golden light? The military counselor asked excitedly. Based on my research, there are 3 ways for orcs to awaken their golden light. First, it's through blood inheritance. Second, it's the death of their loved ones. Third, it's a matter of life and death. I want to simulate this situation and see if I can awaken them. However, based on the information she had collected so far, those who could awaken their golden light were all young and strong men. It would be difficult for the old, weak, women and children. However, she could only try her best in this situation. Miss Yun, why don't you let me try? The military counselor did not believe that the old, weak, women and children could awaken their golden light. Yun Jioga looked at the military counselor. He was a good seedling. The Eagle Squad is willing to be your test subject. No matter what happens, we will not complain. The military counselor swore with a serious face. The fate of the gnolls had alerted all the orcs. Awakening the golden light was the only way out. He was willing to pay any price for it. All right, I agree to your request. However, let's use them for the test first. The gray gas in their brains is easier to observe. It won't be too late to use it on you after I find a suitable plan. Good steel should be used where it matured. She would use the military counselor as a test subject after the plan was mature. It would be best if she could succeed in one shot. Yes. The military counselor nodded. Then he asked seriously, what do we do now? There are no rabbit men here, so we can't use the blood inheritance. Let's try the other 2 first. Find out the family situation of these orcs first, Yun Jioga ordered. The military counselor was stunned. He asked nervously, are you going to kill their relatives? Do I look like such a cruel and stupid person? Yun Jioga was speechless. What did the military counselor think of her? The military counselor nodded honestly. He was also ashamed of his sudden idea. All right, do your investigation well. I'm going out for a while. Yun Jioga left the back of the mountain and prepared to look for Ian Shirley in the plantation. The plantation had expanded for a few more miles. The gray wall divided the vast and fertile land, which would be given to the orcs as their territory. Yun Jioga did not walk through the tunnel. Instead, she jumped onto the wall. She looked down from above and saw that the territory of the Naga tribe had already grown large yellow grass. The walls were covered in moss. The Naga tribe had built a row of wooden houses near the entrance. It was said that these houses were personally designed by Ian Shirley. The orcs lived on the upper floors, while the livestock were kept on the lower floors. Now, there were many elk, pheasants, goats, and other wild beasts. These wild beasts wanted to escape at first. Later, when they realized that they could eat and drink here and that it was safe, they succumbed one by one. The large grass and moss in the territory of the horse race and the ox race next door had also started to grow. They also lived in stilted houses. There were also wild beasts downstairs. They were prepared to exchange them with other races in the future. Moreover, because they were herbivores, these wild beasts were very tame. They were much easier to deal with than the Naga tribe. The territory chosen by the rabbitmen was at the border of the other races' territories. Although they had only been here for 2 days, rows of stilted houses had already been built. They were really good at planting. The large grass and moss grew faster than the horse race and the ox race. On a sturdy stilted house, Gulliver said to a Gu, "If you live here with me, we can raise some wild beasts under the stilted house." "All right, I'll listen to you." Gu was a henpecked man. He would do whatever Gulliver said. "Then why are you still standing there? Go and catch them." Gulliver patted a Gu's wings reproachfully. "I'll go now." A Gu immediately flapped his wings and left. He turned into a small black dot in the sky. Chapter 525. Yun Jioga was in an indescribably good mood as she looked at this lively scene. She didn't want to disturb the working orcs, so she covered herself with moon spirit silk and walked along the wall. When she passed by the rabbit people's territory, she saw the rabbit chief walking to her stilted house and seemed to be watering it. Yun Jioga took a closer look and realized that the land was planted with carrots. After the black rain disaster, Countless edible plants died, leaving only the strong wild grass. Now, only the rabbit people grew carrots in the entire Cloud City. She felt that it was necessary to study it. Yun Jioga jumped off the wall and removed her disguise. She pretended to casually walk past the rabbit people's gate. "Miss Yun, why are you here? Come in and sit." Gua saw her and immediately came out excitedly. The rabbit chief, who had just finished watering, came out and invited Yun Jioga to visit. The other busy rabbit people also hurried over and looked at her with respect and admiration. "How are you guys living here?" Yun Jioga smiled and walked into the rabbit people's territory. "It's very good here. Thank you for giving us such a safe territory." The rabbit elder was happy from the bottom of her heart. After the black rain disaster, they hadn't felt safe and relaxed like this for a long time. "That's good. You guys go ahead. I'll just have a chat with the chief." Yun Jioga waved her hand and let the rabbit people continue with their work. "Miss Yun, this way please." The rabbit chief thought that Yun Jioga was looking for her, so she led her to her stilted house. The chief's stilted house was in the corner of the territory. Other than a bunch of dried green carrot leaves hanging at the door, it was no different from the other rabbit people's stilted houses. Yun Jioga didn't go upstairs. She walked directly to the first floor. The rabbit chief hurriedly followed and smiled. "This place is dirty and broken. There's nothing to see here." "Really? I think it's good that you're planting carrots here," Yun Jioga said with a smile. The rabbit chief was stunned. She smiled calmly. "I really can't hide anything from you. These carrots are planted for the cubs of the tribe to eat. However, they've just been planted. It'll take at least a month for them to grow. If they're successful, I'll send some over for you to try." "How did you plant them?" Yun Jioga asked casually. "Just plant it casually. The land here is alive, so it should be able to succeed," the rabbit elder said. Yun Jioga took a whiff and immediately frowned. "You used blood to plant carrots?" The rabbit tribe leader was stunned, unable to reply for a long time. "I noticed that the weeds in your territory are growing very well. Don't tell me you guys used your blood to grow them?" Yun Jioga looked straight into the eyes of the rabbit tribe leader. The rabbit chief laughed bitterly and said, "We're not blood rabbits. How can we treat our blood as rain and scatter it everywhere? I have no choice. Newborn babies can only eat this." "Have you always used blood to plant them?" Yun Jioga asked. "No. It's because we couldn't grow carrots anymore after the black rain, so we used blood to grow them." The rabbit chief shook his head. "What about before the black rain disaster?" Yun Jioga continued asking. "At that time, as long as we watered them on time, the carrots would grow. That was why the rabbit chief hated the black rain disaster." "How about this? I'll give you a mission. Open up 2 more plots of land to plant carrots. One plot will be watered on time like before, and the other plot will be watered with your feces." Yun Jioga wanted to do a test to see if there was any difference between the carrots grown on the 3 plots of land. "Won't it be very dirty to use feces on the ground?" The rabbit chief looked hesitant. She did not understand what Yun Jioga meant. Animal feces are the best nutrients for the land. Yun Jioga saw the rabbit chief's confused expression, so he told her the method of fermenting feces. Then he encouraged her. "Try it. You'll discover a new world." "All right, I'll let my tribesmen try it later." The rabbit chief nodded seriously. She could sense that the method Yun Jioga gave them was very important. "As a reward, I'll give you these cabbage seeds. You can try planting them when you have the time." Yun Jioga took out the most common cabbage seeds in the mortal realm from his storage bag. He had randomly collected them in Thunder Nation and placed them inside. These cabbages were easy to plant and had a high yield. Once they were planted, they would be good food. "Thank you, Miss Yun." The rabbit chief took the seeds respectfully and immediately felt that she was valued. She became more friendly to brother Yun Jioga. "Don't let anyone know about the blood-bred carrots. Do you understand?" Yun Jioga warned sternly. If the carrots produced by the rabbit blood had any special effects, then these rabbits must be protected. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. "Don't worry, Miss Yun. Only you know about this method." The rabbit chief was not a fool. This carrot field was a secret even in her tribe. No one knew about it except the elders. That's good. Take care of yourself. Your tribesmen still need you. Yun Jioga looked at the knife marks hidden under the hide of the rabbit elder. He admired her selfless spirit. The rabbit chief smiled. She was very grateful for Yun Jioga's concern. After Yun Jioga left under the enthusiastic gaze of the rabbit people, he went to look for Ian Shirley. Ian Shirley was still building a wall with his wife and child. Fei Fei, who was beside him, was working hard to turn a dead land into a living land. Ever since Zishang took Fei Fei away on the day he built the city, this little black and white butterfly had been working diligently. It had already become a divine beast in the hearts of the orcs. They worshipped it as much as she did. Master, look at how much living land I've made. Fei Fei flapped her wings and flew over when she saw Yun Jioga. She looked very proud. Good job. Yun Jioga patted Fei Fei's head encouragingly and fed her a few cherry pills. Fei Fei swallowed the cherry pill and went back to work eagerly. She felt a sense of mission now. Opening up a living land meant more food. If she gave it to the orcs, she could save many lives. Miss Yun, why are you here? Ian Shirley walked over after he finished the last brick. His wife and child continued working on the same spot. I want you to help me create an illusion, Yun Jioga said straightforwardly. The amount of yin yang qi I have is enough to build a wall. I'm afraid I can't create an illusion. Ian Shirley frowned. He had been oppressed by Zishang for the past few days. He was about to puke from building a wall. I'll build a formation first. You just have to inject some yin yang qi into it. It won't take much effort. Yun Jioga couldn't bear to part with her divine power. She could only look for Ian Shirley. All right. Ian Shirley was just grumbling. He didn't forget that Fan Ian had given him a mission. He had to listen to all of Yun Jioga's orders. Chapter 526. Then let's go now. Where are they? Yun Jioga looked at the two figures, one big and one small. Wait for me. Ian Shirley walked over to Yun Jioga after putting away his wife and child in the corpse refinement bag. Fei Fei, let's go. Yun Jioga waved at Little Butterfly. I'm not going, I'm not done yet. Fei Fei focused on converting the death energy without looking at Yun Jioga. No one is guarding you. You can't come out by yourself. Yun Jioga personally grabbed its little wings and threatened it sternly, be careful not to be taken away and turned into a fried butterfly. I'm so cute. Who would want to fry me? Fei Fei muttered, but it still landed on Yun Jioga's shoulder obediently. Your master is right. You're the most precious thing in the entire mystic realm. If Cho Sen and the rest discover your existence, they'll definitely capture you at all costs. Ever since Ian Shirley found out that Fei Fei was the Yin Yang reincarnation butterfly, he admired Yun Jioga's boldness. He was actually willing to let such a precious thing work without fear of being robbed. Master won't let me be captured, Fei Fei retorted indignantly. Then, it silently shrunk its body. Don't scare it. Yun Jioga stuffed another 2 cherry pills into Fei Fei's hands to prevent it from abandoning its task. The two returned to the prison at the back of the mountain. The military counselor had already gone to find Meng to understand the situation. The 10 dumbfounded beastmen were still locked up in their cells. You set up the illusion for them? Ian Shirley raised his eyebrows. This was overkill. Not for them, for the beastmen. Yun Jioga brought Ian Shirley down the stairs to the underground prison. The underground prison was dark and gloomy. There was no light at all. It emitted a damp, moldy, and cold aura. Yun Jioga lit a torch and stuck it on the wall. Then, he took out a spirit stone and started setting up a formation. You know the 9 Hells transformation in illusion? Ian Shirley widened his eyes in shock. This illusion had been circulating among the evil sects for a long time. Even he had not had the chance to see it. He did not expect it to appear on Yun Jioga. What's wrong with that? Do you think my title of goddess is fake? Yun Jioga dipped the cinnabar in and drew on the spirit stone. Runes with mysterious powers appeared on the spirit stone. She was too lazy to use her brain when Zishang was around, but that did not mean that she was brainless. After being a goddess for so many years, there was nothing in the world that she didn't understand. It was just that those memories had been sealed away by her and would only be rummaged through when needed. Are you really a goddess? Although Shirley had already guessed Yunjioga's identity, he was still very surprised to hear her admit it. But didn't Fan Yin tell you about me? Yunjioga chatted with Shirley as he drew. Master Fan Yin has never mentioned your identity. However, to be valued by him, I feel that you are not an ordinary person, Shirley replied cautiously. In reality, the first time he met Yunjioga, he was very disappointed. Yunjioga was simply too weak. The only thing that stood out about him was his purple deceased sword. After Yunjioga joined the Yin Corpse sect, he had been secretly observing to see if Yunjioga was hiding anything. After that, Ink Flower, White Bones, and Cho Sen worked together to force Yunjioga, but Yunjioga still focused on escaping. He was so disappointed that he even suspected that Fan Yin had been deceived. But now, Shirley finally understood that Yunjioga's strength wasn't due to her martial strength. Instead, it was due to her inexplicable strength that made people believe in her. Reality proved that she was always right. I wasn't ordinary in the past, but I can't anymore. You still have to rely on yourselves to save this world. Yunjioga placed the spirit stones on Shirley's palm and said, use your yin-yang qi to carve the spirit stones according to the rune patterns. I will teach you how to place them later. Okay, Shirley replied impatiently and started to analyze the rune patterns seriously. After he was done, these rune patterns were also carved in his mind. Next, Yunjioga taught him how to bury these spirit stones deep into the ground according to the position of the 9 nether formation. It's done. You can go back and build your wall now. Yunjioga clapped her hands and prepared to leave. Lady Yun, actually, those walls aren't that urgent. I can stay by your side and continue working. Shirley learned the 9 nether transformation in illusory formation and realized that he had a better future by staying by Yunjioga's side. Are you sure you're not in a hurry? Yunjioga turned to look at Shirley and said with a faint smile, wait for Shang to tell me that. I'll go back and build the wall now. Shirley couldn't help but tremble when he heard Shang's name. That despicable fiendish demon wanted to squeeze his bone marrow dry. If he found out that he was slacking off, he would be finished. Take Fei away. Remember to look after it. Yunjioga placed Fei on Shirley's shoulder. Transforming the deathly aura was what the little butterfly should be doing. Don't worry. Even if I lose my wife and child, I won't lose it. This was definitely the heaviest oath Shirley had ever made. Don't be nervous. You just have to look after it and don't let it run around. Yunjioga still believed in Shirley. Moreover, Fei had the ability to protect itself. It was just that one more person meant one more safety. Not long after Shirley left with Fei, the military counselor and a Meng hurried over. Behind them were the Eagle Man, Fei, and an unfamiliar female rabbit person. Sir, Elder Bai recommended Fei to be your guard, the military counselor said. All right. Yunjioga nodded and looked at the female rabbit person behind a Meng. This rabbit person had slightly dark skin and short hair. Her slender figure was full of explosive power. Her expressionless face looked even colder than ash. Facing Yunjioga's scrutinizing gaze, she only said 4 words, I am Maya. Maya was sent here by the chief. She is an expert in our tribe. It's just that she doesn't like to talk, Demeng hurriedly said. Actually, Maya was stronger than him. It was just that her personality was too strange. That was why the chief did not send her here. This time, when she heard that the guards were going to expand, she decided to send Maya here. Very good. You don't have to talk much to be my guard. Yunjioga nodded. Then, he looked at the military counselor and said, Have you finished what I asked you to do? This is the relationship between Aunt Gaga and the others. The military counselor took out a stone slab and began to explain to Yunjioga. In summary, Aunt Gaga and the others had no children. They only had collateral relatives. That was why they were sent to interact with the magical stones. Do you still want to try? The military counselor asked carefully. Of course. Why not? Bring them to the dungeon. The few of you guard outside. Yun Jioga turned and walked towards the dungeon. The military counselor brought Aunt Gaga and the others into the dungeon. According to Yun Jioga's instructions, they tied them up in a corner. Come here. Yun Jioga sat in a small room beside the dungeon and waved at the military counselor. What do we do next? The military counselor walked in and asked. Nothing. Just watch them. Yun Jioga threw a spirit stone into the dungeon. The 9 gloom in illusion was officially activated. Chapter 527. The spirit stone that Yun Jioga threw fell to the ground silently. The 9 nether shift in illusion was activated instantly. A faint black fog rose and enveloped Aunt Gaga and the other beastmen. The military advisor opened his eyes wide, trying to see what was going on inside. Unfortunately, his field of vision was completely dark. Miss Yun, what's going on? The military advisor turned around to ask Yun Jioga, only to see her solemn expression. Her pupils flickered with a faint golden light as she stared unblinkingly at the beastmen inside the formation. Calm down and take a look. The black fog is their current soul state. Only by breaking free can they awaken the golden light. Yun Jioga reminded the military advisor without looking back. Yes. The military advisor calmed down and took a closer look. The black fog was swaying wildly as if someone was trying to break free. Yun Jioga could see more clearly than the military advisor. The 10 beastmen were struggling in the illusion. Unfortunately, the power of the illusion was too strong. Soon, 2 Naga females fainted due to physical exhaustion and were automatically ejected from the illusion. This was the protection mechanism that Yun Jioga had set up to prevent them from being trapped inside. Gradually, more and more beastmen were ejected from the illusion. Finally, only the 2 bull-headed youths and Aunt Gaga were left. It seems like physical strength and vitality are also important conditions for awakening, Yun Jioga muttered to herself. Aunt Gaga was the strongest among the 10 beastmen, while the bull-headed youths were the youngest. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the 2 bull-headed youths were also ejected. Only Aunt Gaga was left. It seemed like she was just stalling for time. Miss Yun, let me try. The military advisor felt that Yun Jioga was wasting time. What could a group of old, weak, women, and children achieve by experimenting? There's no rush. I still need to adjust the illusion a little more. Yun Jioga calculated the time. The fastest to be ejected were the 4 middle-aged Naga females, followed by the centaur and bull-headed youths. Centaurs and bull-headed youths were famous for their strong endurance. If even they could not endure it, it meant that the illusion's physical requirements were too high. It seemed like she still had to find in Shirley to adjust the formation's physical requirements and increase the mental torture. Only then would it be easier to achieve results. At this moment, the military counselor suddenly said to Yun Jioga, who was deep in thought, Miss Yun, look at Aunt Gaga. Something doesn't seem right. Yun Jioga looked up and saw that all the black fog in the 9 nether in reversal formation had gathered on Aunt Gaga. Aunt Gaga remained motionless, but she was not ejected from the illusion. It was really strange. Yun Jioga thought for a moment, then sent out his divine sense into Aunt Gaga's illusion. Inside Aunt Gaga's divine sense, it was a barren wasteland. The river had dried up, the plants were all dead, and the corpses of the Naga tribe were everywhere. They were all skinny, and their faces were full of despair. It seemed like they had starved to death. The entire world was filled with sorrow and despair. It was so oppressive that it made it hard for people to breathe. Yun Jioga looked around for Aunt Gaga and finally found her on the land where the Naga tribe planted Gaga grass. Her thin brown snake tail was coiled on the ground, her body was hunched, and her arms were folded, as if she was guarding something. Yun Jioga floated over and saw that Aunt Gaga was guarding several white snake eggs in her arms, which were covered with a thin layer of dry fried Gaga grass. Black and white, strong colors clashed, but with an indescribable vitality. Aunt Gaga's old face was so thin that it was out of shape. Her eyes were deep and turbid, but they were looking at the snake eggs with determination, as if she firmly believed that these eggs would survive. Yun Jioga fixed his eyes on the snake eggs and Gaga grass in Aunt Gaga's arms. Suddenly an idea came to him, and he reached out his hand. The 9 nether in reversal formation rotated, and the black fog turned into white fog. The white snake eggs in Aunt Gaga's arms shook, making a small sound of breaking. A little naga the size of an index finger tried its best to come out of the shell. Its wet little head was covered with a white eggshell, and it looked at Aunt Gaga with its clear yellow eyes. Aunt Gaga's old face showed a kind smile, and her body turned into a golden light and fell to the ground. The grass and trees returned to spring, and the spring water gushed out, and vitality emerged. Yun Jioga's divine sense returned, and he quickly stood up and rushed into the formation. Military counselor also rushed in, and asked Yun Jioga nervously, "What happened? Why did Aunt Gaga fall to the ground as soon as she released the golden light?" Yun Jioga did not have time to answer military counselor's question. He took out the Thunderfire needle and quickly inserted it into Aunt Gaga's body, opening up all the golden light that had gathered at her tail. The golden light flowed like flowing water, and the grayness in Aunt Gaga's head was instantly dispelled, vanishing into thin air. Aunt Gaga succeeded, didn't she? Military counselor looked at Yun Jioga with enthusiasm. If Aunt Gaga succeeded, then it would be even easier for him. "I'm not sure yet. Take Aunt Gaga to the room above to rest, and we'll talk about it when she wakes up." Yun Jioga had vaguely grasped the mystery of awakening the golden light, but there were still some things that he needed to verify. "Miss Yun, let me try. I'll definitely succeed." Military counselor was burning with anxiety, and he could not wait to release the golden light immediately. "I have my own plans for this. You just need to listen to my commands now." Yun Jioga could understand military counselor's feelings, but he was impatient. If military counselor's golden light also went out of control like Aze, then what was the point? I was too rash. Military counselor didn't want to leave a bad impression of Yun Jioga, so he sent Aunt Gaga away. After military counselor left, Yun Jioga let Little Blossom and Big Ear out and woke them up. "Miss Yun." Little Blossom looked at the dim underground. He couldn't tell where he was. He shook his head and asked, "May I ask if my people have migrated over?" "My people?" Big Ear asked with a hoarse voice before opening his eyes. "I've already sent the Eagle Men to receive them. They should arrive in 2 days. I let you guys out because I have something to ask you. What were you thinking before you were turned into puppets by the magical stones and your consciousness was sealed?" Yun Jioga asked. "Thinking about what?" Little Blossom smiled bitterly. "I was thinking about what would happen to my people if I died. I haven't left the tribe leader's keepsake. What about you?" Yun Jioga looked at Big Ear. "I just want to go back alive and take them far away from the divine messenger," Big Ear said. As expected, Big Ear and Little Blossom's words confirmed his guess. It was the power of the guardian that awakened them. "Miss Yun, did you let us out because you found a way to get rid of the demonic chi?" Little Blossom asked hopefully. Chapter 528. Not yet. The demonic energy in your bodies is too deep. It'll take a long time to get rid of it. Yun Jioga felt that the most important thing now was to find a way to awaken the golden light for the beastmen. "It's okay, we can wait." Little Blossom was a little disappointed, but there was hope as long as they were alive. "I can't let you out yet. I'll let you see your people when they come back. Just bear with it." Yun Jioga extinguished the golden light on Little Blossom and Big Ear. He put them back into the spirit beast bag and left the dungeon. As soon as she reached the surface, she saw Zi Shang leaning against the door. He looked at her with a smirk. "Didn't you say that you can't experiment until you're sure? Why are you messing around now?" "Who said I'm messing around? I have evidence." "Zheng Lai, have you completed your mission?" Yun Jioga asked. "Of course, all the tribes that the Eagle Men can find are migrating to Cloud City. Shirley and Fei Fei have to hurry, or else there won't be enough people to live in. Xianxia had used many methods to complete his mission quickly. Fortunately, it was very effective. How many tribes did you bring back? Yunjioga asked in shock. Not many, just 10 tribes. About 2,000 people. If he could use his demon power, he could have brought them over with one heaven and earth shift. They wouldn't have to go through so much trouble to migrate. Nangongyu and Cho Sen aren't doing anything? Yunjioga found it strange. Those two weren't easy to deal with. They probably want to kill us all, so you have to hurry. The beastmen must awaken as soon as possible. Otherwise, they'll be faced with a disaster. Xianxia's expression turned serious. They didn't have much time left. Don't worry, I already know the real way to awaken the beastmen. Yunjioga told him about Aunt Gaga. What gives them power isn't pain, but hope. Only beastmen with a desire to protect can awaken. Then what are you waiting for? If the illusion isn't enough, I can help. Setting up a formation was a piece of cake for Xianxia. No, I'm still waiting for a conclusion. Yunjioga shook his head. Awakening the golden light was no small matter. It couldn't be rushed. What conclusion are you waiting for? Xianxia felt that Yunjioga was being too cautious. There were so many beastmen, and being able to awaken 1 out of 100 was already a good deal. This conclusion is very important. I can't explain it to you. Come with me. Yunjioga pulled Xianxia's hand and led him to the resting area next to the prison cell. Military counselor and Meng were standing in front of Aunt Gaga's bed. When they saw Yunjioga and Xianxia coming in, they hurried over to welcome them. How is Aunt Gaga? Yunjioga asked. He hasn't woken up yet. The military counselor shook his head. Yunjioga opened his spirit eye and looked at Aunt Gaga's knowledge sea. He was surprised to find that her divine sense was calm, as if she had already fulfilled her wish and had nothing to worry about. This was the prelude to death. Meng, hurry up and bring those sick little Nagas over, Yunjioga hastily instructed. Yes. Meng quickly brought the little snake man over. After the death aura was removed, the little Naga recovered quite well. All of them were white and plump, and their tails were thick and strong. They were much taller than before, and when they saw Yunjioga, they bowed respectfully. I have a task for you. If anyone can wake Aunt Gaga up, I will reward them with a cherry candy. Yunjioga poured a cherry pill into his palm. The red pill emitted a sweet aroma, which was very tempting to these little whelps. How should we wake her? The little Naga with black and white tails asked bravely. Whatever method you use, Yunjioga said. Aunt Gaga's heart was protecting Hope, the children of the Naga tribe. Whether or not they could wake her up depended on these little whelps. 5 little Nagas immediately jumped onto Aunt Gaga's body and shouted. They pulled on her ears and scales, displaying the demeanor of naughty children. What the hell are you doing? Xianxia frowned. He thought Yunjioga had something good, but it turned out to be an old Naga. Yunjioga saw the impatience in Xianxia's eyes and knew that if he did not explain clearly, Xianxia would explode. Come here. Yunjioga brought Xianxia to a corner and said in a low voice, I want to know what's the difference between Aunt Gaga's golden light and other orcs. Isn't it fine as long as it's golden light? Xianxia raised his eyebrows. Of course not. Have you forgotten Zhe and Dummy? Yunjioga glared at Xianxia. Zhe awakened the golden light and became a lunatic, while Dummy became a fool. Dummy became a fool after traveling through space, Xianxia corrected. He wasn't much better before he became a fool, Yunjioga said. According to Yunjioga's understanding, Dummy was not only a troublemaker in the Eagle tribe, but also in other tribes, which meant that his mental condition was unstable. What about the rabbit tribe? Xianxia raised his eyebrows. Although the rabbit tribe was a little neurotic, it was still normal. They are herbivores. Although they are mentally stable, their bodies are too weak. They can only use the golden light when they turn into rabbits. Their attack power is too low. Seeing Xianxia's disapproving look, Yunjioga changed the topic. Are you willing to lead the rabbit tribe to attack Grey Castle? No, I'm not. Xianxia imagined himself leading a group of big white rabbits. He got goosebumps, but he didn't give up. Don't we still have De Meng and Maya? They're not bad. De Meng and Maya are strong, so they're mentally unstable. De Meng is too impulsive. He won't fight for no reason. Maya is too calm. It doesn't matter if she doesn't speak for 3 days. In Yun Jioga's eyes, they were abnormal. As long as they can fight, what does it matter if they're normal or not? Xianxia frowned. He had ways to teach them a lesson. It's fine if there's no other choice, but I already know how to make them awaken the golden light normally. Of course, I have to choose the right one, Yun Jioga said grumpily. According to her observations and experiments, normal orcs were mentally unstable because the golden light was awakened in their brains. However, Little Flower, Big Ear, and Aunt Gaga were awakened in their hearts, ears, and tails. The only thing they had in common was that they were both corrupted by demonic aura. Therefore, Yun Jioga wanted to wait for Aunt Gaga to wake up. She wanted to know if the golden light would be stronger and more stable after being corrupted by demonic aura. If that was true, then the orc's evolution direction would be clearer. Since you already have a way, do it quickly. Xianxia frowned even more. Yun Jioga thought too much of the orcs. It was a waste of time to think about it. If it were him, he would do it as soon as he thought of a way. If he failed, he could just start all over again. Chapter 529. I really can't talk to you. Yun Jioga raised her eyebrows angrily. Just as she was about to lose her temper, Meng walked out of the house with a joyful expression and said, Miss Yun, Aunt Gaga is awake. Yun Jioga glared at Xianxia and followed Meng in. The 5 little Nagas had tears on their chubby faces and were sobbing. Auntie, I thought you were dead. Hey good kids, don't cry. Aunt Gaga hugged the 5 little Nagas and coaxed them. Aunt Gaga is going to plant Gaga grass for you now. I'll plant a lot of it so that you can eat as much as you want. Aunt Gaga, we don't eat Gaga grass anymore. We eat grass rice and grass potatoes now. The little Naga wiped her tears and took out a round potato from the animal skin bag she carried on her back. She handed it to Aunt Gaga and said, This is for you. The other little Nagas also offered their treasures. Auntie is not hungry. Eat it yourselves. Aunt Gaga's eyes were kind. She had never laid a living egg in her life and treated the little ones in her tribe as her own. It was good enough that the children remembered her. How could they bear to eat their precious food? Andy were all full. The little Nagas patted their bulging bellies. The Naga tribe was the first to plant grass and eat a lot. They had a lot of food, so they ate their fill every day. Auntie, things are different now. I'll bring you out later and you'll understand. Meng laughed. Is that so? Aunt Gaga's memory was still stuck in the past. Back then, the Naga tribe had to risk their lives just to get a bite of food. Of course it's true. All of this is thanks to the great Lady Yun and Lord Yizi. They brought hope to our Beastmen tribe. Meng bowed respectfully to Yun Jioga and Xianxia as he spoke. Aunt Gaga then realized that there were 2 people standing in the house. Their appearance and temperament were completely different from the Beastmen. Although she did not know what had happened, they must be great people since the tribe leader respected them so much. Aunt Gaga got down from the bed and bowed to Yun Jioga and Xianxia like the tribe leader. Meng, you're in charge of testing her abilities. Xianxia walked in with a cold expression. Sir, may I know how to test this? He was just an ordinary orc. How would he know how to test Aunt Gaga's golden light? Take her to the plantation for a walk. Yun Jioga recalled Aunt Gaga's appearance when she awakened the golden light and felt that she must have awakened this ability. Yes. Meng immediately led Aunt Gaga, who was still confused, to the farm. The 5 little Nagas followed behind them excitedly. The military counselor walked to Yun Jioga's side and hesitated to speak, but Xianxia interrupted him. Talk less. Get to work. After saying that, he pulled Yun Jioga out, not giving the military counselor a chance to speak. A group of people arrived at the plantation. Aunt Gaga stared at the majestic city wall in front of her and ate the golden grass. She was so shocked that she couldn't close her mouth. The 5 little snake people surrounded her and excitedly explained all the changes, chattering happily. Apart from the territories of the eagle men, nagas, centaurs, cowmen, and rabbit men, there were 12 other territories that were empty. Auntie, these territories are for other orcs. Winter is coming soon, and we have to plant enough food to save more orcs. I'll leave this task to you, Yunjioga said to Aunt Gaga as he took out a big bag of grass and rice. How do I plant this? Aunt Gaga was a little flustered. She had only planted Gaga grass in her life and had never planted anything else. Just plant it like you plant Gaga grass. Yunjioga randomly picked an empty space and looked at Aunt Gaga encouragingly. Go ahead. I'll give it a try. Aunt Gaga carefully took the seeds of the grass. They were yellow rice grains, and there were thousands of them. She felt a sense of mission when she thought about the grass that would save the orcs. The yellowish-brown snake tail emitted a faint golden light and seeped into the ground. As she moved, she scattered the seeds on the ground. The yellowish-brown rice grains took root and sprouted as soon as they touched the ground. The yellow grass followed her footsteps. Aunt Gaga had a satisfied smile on her face as she walked to the side of the wide empty space. The brown empty space was soon covered by the yellow grass. So many big grass. The little snake people followed Aunt Gaga happily and began to scream and play. Oh my God! Meng looked at Aunt Gaga in disbelief. When Aunt Gaga had awakened, he was only happy that Yunjioga had saved her. Now that Aunt Gaga had performed such a miracle in front of him, it was undoubtedly due to Yunjioga's efforts. He turned to look at Yunjioga and wanted to kneel down and worship her. Unfortunately, Yunjioga did not have time to care about him. She was busy using her spiritual eye to observe Aunt Gaga's movements. How is it? Is this normal? Xianxia took the initiative to talk. I was right. Aunt Gaga's sea of consciousness is calm and full of joy. The golden light mainly moves around the snake's tail. It rarely returns to the sea of consciousness. Yunjioga closed her spiritual eye in satisfaction. She did not mind the argument with Xianxia. I thought the demonic energy would be a disaster for these beastmen. I didn't expect it to be the beginning of a transformation. I wonder if Nangongyu and Chosun know about this? Xianxia pondered. If they knew, they wouldn't have locked them up to drink blood. Yunjioga said with certainty. With Chosun's personality, if he knew that beastmen could automatically awaken the golden light, he would definitely keep them in captivity and slowly slaughter them. It seems like we have taken the initiative. After being in the secret territory for so long, Xianxia finally felt a sense of achievement. You still dare to complain that I am too long-winded? Yunjioga glared at Xianxia. This impatient guy only wanted to reach the heavens in a single step. If they did as he said, they would only get a bunch of crazy people. Goddess is wise. Xianxia tactfully admitted his mistake. Stop flattering me. Hurry up and help me set up an illusion array. Yunjioga rubbed her palms together. She was ready to go all out. Xianxia cooperated with Yunjioga and set up the dungeon again. They set up 2 more 9 Hell in reversal arrays. That way, they could put in a large number of beastmen for experiments. Actually, it would be safer to make a few more examples. Yunjioga said regretfully. Although Aunt Gaga had succeeded, it was better to make a few more out of caution. The process of awakening the golden light after being infected by the demonic energy had a certain degree of risk. If the serpent men did not have Aunt Gaga's firm belief, they could easily be devoured. There is no time. The most they will do is turn them stupid. If they cannot awaken, they will die. This batch of beastmen will finish migrating in half a month. I'm afraid Chosun cannot wait that long. Xianxia mercilessly shattered Yunjioga's fantasy. Chapter 5:30. You've done well. Let the orcs work hard for the rest. Xianxia pulled Yunjioga into his arms and kissed her forehead gently. Okay. Yunjioga smelled the faint fragrance on Xianxia's body. Her depressed mood was instantly lifted. She immediately returned to the treatment room and workroom that Ian Shirley had helped her build in the back mountain. He picked up his brush and quickly drew up a plan for the orcs' awakening. Then he called the military counselor over. I thought you would awaken the guards first. The military counselor was surprised to see Yunjioga's awakening plan. After all, the guards were powerful warriors, so they had a higher chance of awakening. No, according to the experience of the rabbit tribe, as long as one of the golden orcs awakens, the others will awaken safely as long as they guide them properly. Therefore, Yunjioga's awakening plan was not based on the number of people, but the races. The first was the Naga. Aunt Gaga was a strong-willed guide. With her around, the Naga would definitely awaken smoothly. Miss Yun, which race will the Naga join after the awakening? The military counselor asked carefully. The Eagle Men, of course. Yunjioga did not seem to notice the military counselor's thoughts. The Eagle Men and the Naga were the first tribes to rely on her. They often competed with each other. Yunjioga thought it was good since there was competition. Thank you, Miss Yun. The Eagle Men won't let you down. The military counselor heaved a sigh of relief and prepared everything for Yunjioga. If the Naga could awaken successfully, the Eagle Men would learn from them. Yunjioga's plan was to let the Naga drink the water of magical stone first. After the demonic energy invaded them, they would enter the illusion under Aunt Gaga's guidance to defeat themselves. After learning about the plan, they were so excited that they could not sleep for a few days. They instructed the entire tribe to cherish this rare opportunity and strive to awaken and surpass the Eagle Men. Of course, this slogan was only used internally. They did not dare to leak it in front of the Eagle Men. On the day of the plan, all the Naga gathered at the back mountain and lined up, waiting for Aunt Gaga to distribute the water of magical stone. The 5 little Nagas also came to join in the fun. They followed Aunt Gaga and busied themselves around like little helpers. Are these kids going to the dungeon with the adults? The military counselor looked at the happy little Naga worriedly. Speaking of which, these little Nagas and their Eagle Men were the first to be infected by the demonic aura. Yunjioga shook his head. We don't need them for now. We'll talk about it later. The little Eagle Man and the little Naga had only removed the death chi from their bodies. There was still some demonic chi left in their bodies. If they wanted to completely awaken, they could only rely on the golden light. But they were too young, so they might not be able to withstand the torment of the illusion. After drinking the demonic chi water, the Naga tribe entered the dungeon valiantly under Aunt Gaga's lead. The awakening experiment was undoubtedly a success. All the Nagas had awakened golden light, but the intensity of the light was different. The abilities they displayed were also different. Similar to Aunt Gaga, the female Nagas displayed the ability to plant plants. The male Naga, on the other hand, was just like Meng, displaying extremely powerful attacks. This was especially true for Meng, whose fangs and tail had awakened a golden light. His speed and strength had increased, and he could smash a boulder as tall as a small mountain with a swing of his tail. However, what surprised Yunjioga the most was that there were a few skinny female Naga beastmen who had awakened special abilities. It was a very small green snake species. They were extremely fast after transforming into their original form, and their venom was very strong. They were experts at assassination. These awakened Nagas were taken away by Zishang. The females were taken to farm, while the males were sent to guard the small mountain in the city. Next, Yunjioga began the awakening of the Eagle Men. She released Ash, who had been kept away all this while. The demonic aura on Ahui was a bit heavy. Yunjioga was worried that he wouldn't be able to awaken, so she asked the military counselor to bring Ashui over and let him stay with his father and talk more. She hoped that the power of kinship could help him get through the secret realm. After making arrangements for Ahui, Yunjioga called Aze to her newly built treatment room in the back mountain. Miss Yun. Aze lowered his head, not daring to look at Yunjioga. I heard you've recovered a long time ago. Why didn't you come find me? Yunjioga asked Aze while carving runes on spirit stones. I don't have the face to see you. Aze was afraid that he would be seen as a crazy bird if he walked out, so he had been hiding in his nest. It wasn't your fault for going crazy last time. I've already found a solution for you. Yunjioga put down the spirit stones and looked at Aze. Do you trust me? Of course I trust you. Aze immediately looked up. He almost swore to the heavens. If you trust me, then lie on the stone bed over there. I'll extract the golden light from your brain later. The process is very simple, but you might lose a part of your memory. Only by removing the golden light from Zhe's brain and making him awaken again would he not lose control and become crazy. I won't become an idiot, will I? Zhe's face paled at the thought of the prince's stupidity. That won't happen. At most, you'll forget the past. Zhe had always been brooding over his brother's death. What Yunjioge needed to do was to remove this part of his memory. Okay, then do it. Zhe immediately lay down on the stone bed. Relax and breathe. You'll be fine soon. Yunjioge's voice was soft. While Zhe was relaxing, she stabbed the lightning fire needle into his sleep acupuncture point. Zhe's head tilted and he fell asleep. Yunjioge used her divine power to ignite the golden light in his brain. Then, she carefully extracted it and put it into a bottle of spirit condensation. Why are you keeping his golden light? Xianxia's voice suddenly sounded. Yunjioge almost knocked the bottle over. Can't you knock when you come in? What if she made a sound when she extracted the golden light and Zhe became an idiot? Who knew you were so cowardly? Xianxia walked over to Yunjioge and looked at the bottle in her hand. You haven't answered my question. I plan to put Zhe's golden light into Little Blossom and Big Ear's bodies to see if it can save them, Yunjioge said. It was like a blood transfusion. The golden light that Little Blossom and Big Ear awakened wasn't enough to expel the demonic qi. Then, she would put in some golden light to see if it could strengthen them. Aren't you afraid they'll suck Zhe's golden light and become crazy? Xianxia raised his eyebrows. The golden light itself is good. It's just that Zhe's brain can't control it. Plus, Little Blossom and Big Ear didn't awaken in the brain. They'll be fine. Yunjioge lowered her head and engraved Zhe's golden light on the bottle. You really know how to make trouble. Xianxia shook his head. Those poisoned beastmen were already abandoned in his heart. Only Yunjioge would think of a way to save them. Chapter 5:31. What do you know? Every time I mess with the golden light, I learn more about it. It's very useful for finding the origin of the golden light. Yunjioge didn't forget that she studied the orc's golden light to find the origin and strengthen her divine power. You're worth teaching. Xianxia patted Yunjioge's head. Why aren't you busy with building the city? Why are you here? Yunjioge slapped Xianxia's hand away. She wasn't a child. Why was he patting her head? If she was still a goddess in the divine palace, Xianxia's behavior was enough to be considered disrespectful. I went to the death swamp yesterday. Grey Castle is moving. I suspect Chosen will attack us in advance. Xianxia's face turned serious. Are you sure you can defend Yun City? Yunjioge frowned. The city was filled with ordinary orcs. She could only rely on Xianxia and Yin Shirley to defend. Just based on Yin Shirley and me, we can't defend it forever. You have to hurry up. Xianxia was here to urge her. I was planning to awaken the eagle people tomorrow. Now that you mention it, we have to start tonight. Yunjioge sighed. She didn't like the feeling of being rushed at all. Doing research required slow work in order to produce fine results. Okay, I'll inform the advisor now. Xianxia kissed Yunjioge comfortingly. Go! Yunjioge waved Xianxia away and woke Zhe up with a needle. Zhe got up in a daze and asked Yunjioge, Miss Yun, why am I lying here? How many is this? Yunjioge waved 3 fingers in front of Zhe. This is 3, Zhe answered honestly. Go find the advisor. He will tell you why you're here. Yunjioge's every cell was screaming for her to be busy. She really didn't have time to explain too much to Zhe. Oh! Zhe scratched his head and walked out in a daze. The advisor soon brought the eagle people over. He asked Yunjioge excitedly and nervously, Miss Yun, Master Yizi said we're going to awaken tonight. Is it true? That's right. Take this magic stone and soak it in water. Everyone drink a bowl of it and then go to the dungeon. Yunjioge threw a gray magic stone to the military counselor and took out a booklet to write a plan. After the eagle men awakened, it was the bulls and centaurs' turn. Currently, none of these two races had awakened the golden light, so they couldn't follow the same steps as the nagas and eagle men. They had to first test and choose the beast men with the strongest protectiveness of their tribe, and then use that to awaken the other tribesmen. The military counselor took the magic stone and looked at Yun Jioga hesitantly. In the end, he couldn't help but ask, "Miss Yun, can my grandfather awaken with us? If Grandpa could also awaken the golden light, he might be able to live longer." Yun Jioga put down the plan in his hands and looked up at the military counselor. He said seriously, "Awakening the golden light consumes a lot of energy and mental strength. Elder Bai, who is about to die of old age, entering it is tantamount to suicide. I understand. I'm sorry to disturb you. I'll go and prepare now." Although the military counselor was sad, he forced himself to smile and left with the magic stone. Yun Jioga was really worried when he saw the military counselor like this, so he took the plan to the small dark room in the dungeon and personally watched over them. The eagle men were all excited when they saw Yun Jioga personally coming. The eagle men were divided into two groups and entered the dungeon illusion. The first group was led by Zhe, which included Hui, Gu, and other eagle men with normal physiques. When the illusion started, Hui was the first to awaken. The golden light spread from his wings and expelled all the demonic energy in his body. Yun Jioga couldn't help but nod after seeing this. The company of family could indeed strengthen the protectiveness of the tribe. Zhe was the second to awaken. His wings were shining with golden light and looked extremely powerful. Gu was next. This kid was probably ready to become a father. His protectiveness was very strong. Other than his wings, his abdomen was also awakened with golden light. The other eagle men also awakened one after another. All of their wings were glowing. The stronger eagleman's wings were brighter while the weaker ones were dimmer. However, it was the best outcome for all of them to awaken. The awakened eagle men were automatically ejected from the illusion. The military counselor and Fei guarded outside and pulled them to the resting room next to the dungeon. Soon, the first group of eagle men all left the illusion. The military counselor, Fei, Ping, and the other young and strong eagle men were the second group. This group of strong eagle men awakened even faster. The golden light on their wings was also very dense. They would definitely be very strong after transforming. The military counselor's awakening was also very smooth. First his wings, then his chest. The light was even more intense than August. However, this was very normal. The military counselor had always been in charge of the tribe with Elder Bai. His protectiveness was the strongest, so he naturally awakened the most. Yun Jioga was just about to close the illusion when she saw the military counselor's face suddenly turn pale. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Then, a golden light burst out from his head, and he was ejected from the illusion. It happened too suddenly. Yun Jioga didn't even see how the military counselor flew out. She quickly left the dungeon and saw a group of eagle men surrounding the military counselor at the foot of the mountain. "Military counselor, are you okay?" Zhe patted the military counselor's face nervously, almost causing it to swell. "Miss Yun is here. Everyone move away." Gu saw Yun Jioga coming over and quickly let her come closer. "Miss Yun, what happened to the military counselor? Why did he spit blood?" Zhe's face was full of panic. The military counselor was recognized as an elite in the tribe. The awakening should have been very smooth. Why did he spit blood instead? He has awakened too many parts. He's too strong, so he spat blood. Don't worry. Yun Jioga comforted the eagle men while using her spirit eye to check on the military counselor. The golden light on the military counselor's wings and chest were very stable. The color was bright yellow, but there was a thumb-sized golden ball spinning in his head. This ball of golden light was not as dense and pure as Dummies, nor was it as violent as Zhe's. It was something Yun Jioga had never seen before. What happened? Shang had just finished building the city. As soon as he came over, he saw Yun Jioga frowning in puzzlement. There's a small problem with the awakening of the military counselor. Yun Jioge told him what happened and said in annoyance, I wonder what's with the golden light in his head. Don't worry. You'll know when he wakes up. Zishang looked up at the surrounding eaglemen and asked, All awakened? Master Yi Zi, all the eaglemen have successfully awakened. All the eaglemen stood in front of Zishang with their chests puffed out. Then follow me. Zishang took all the eaglemen away with one sentence, leaving only the military counselor lying on the ground. Yun Jioge had no choice but to let Demeng send the military counselor to Elder Bai and inform her when he woke up. After Demeng carried the military counselor away, Yun Jioge continued with the awakening plan. Not long later, Zishang returned alone. Chapter 5:32. Where are Agu and the others? Yun Jioge glanced at the sky. Not a single eagleman had appeared. I sent them to patrol. These eaglemen are not bad. Zishang had just tested it. After awakening the golden light, not only could the eaglemen successfully transform into beast form, but their speed and strength had also greatly increased. At the same time, Argus, who had awakened 2 body parts, could also spit out wind blades. He organized the eaglemen into an air force. Some of them were responsible for patrolling the airspace of Cloud City, and some of them left Cloud City to check on the situation of the migrating orcs and help them reach Cloud City as soon as possible. I plan to have the rabbit men patrol the inner city. What do you think? Yun Jioge asked. Currently, the eagle men were responsible for defending the outside while the serpent men were defending the small mountain. The inner city was a little empty. The rabbit men are very disciplined. They are very suitable to be patrol soldiers. Zishang nodded. No matter what, the rabbit men were still golden light beastmen. It would be a waste for them to stay in their territory and plant crops every day. I'm also going to set up a farming team with Aunt Gaga as the leader. They'll be responsible for helping the orcs grow food. Yun Jioge added a farming team to the list and then wrote down a healing team. However, it was still empty at the moment, and he would have to wait and see when the orcs could awaken this ability. These are all small problems. What I'm more curious about now is what happened to the military counselor's brain. Zishang stroked his chin. Military counselor was usually very good at thinking. Now that his head had awakened with golden light, he had a feeling that he would bring surprises. I'm curious too, but we should have an answer tomorrow. Yun Jioge scribbled and wrote down the construction team, logistics team, guard team, and other projects on the schedule. All right, stop writing. Zishang took the booklet from Yun Jioge's hand and said forcefully, It's already late at night, you should sleep. I haven't finished writing yet. Yun Jioge's head is full of plans, and he wants to write them out quickly. Zishang carried Yun Jioge in his arms and threw him onto the bed before pinning him down. Didn't you say that time is tight and the mission is heavy? Why are you still in the mood to think about this? Yun Jioge glared at Zishang, wanting to kick him off the bed. I just want to sleep. Is your thoughts too evil, or do you want it? Zishang placed his hand on Yun Jioge's stomach. Yun Jioge's expression was cold. Only when one was full and warm would one think of lust. She really wasn't in the mood right now. Then let's go to sleep. We still have work to do tomorrow. Zishang's voice was gentle as his warm hands gently rubbed Yun Jioge's abdomen, spreading warmth throughout her entire body. Yun Jioge slowly closed his eyes and soon fell asleep. After seeing that Yun Jioge had fallen asleep, Zishang picked up the schedule and continued to fill in the blanks. When Yun Jioge woke up, Zishang was no longer in the room. There was a yellow booklet on the wooden table, and the plan inside was already filled in. It was even more complete than what she had imagined before. Yun Jioge flipped through it and was very satisfied. He took the schedule and went out. Just as he was about to call Elder Bai and Meng over for a discussion, he heard that the military advisor had woken up. Military counselor's brain had awakened another type of power, the spirit element. Not only did he have an eidetic memory, but he could also sense other people's emotional fluctuations and even control weak-willed people. That's a pretty good ability. There's a position that suits you the best right now. After Xianxia heard about the military advisor's awakened ability, he immediately arranged for him to receive the migrating orcs into the city. Now, many orcs were migrating to Cloud City every day. Apart from the tribes that the Eagle Men had found themselves, there were also many tribes that came alone after hearing the news. These orc tribes that migrated alone without any food support were very miserable and pitiful. Their faces were sallow and they were skinny. The old, weak, women, and children fell sick as soon as they entered Cloud City. Military Counselor was almost going crazy. He led the centaurs in charge of registering them, arranging territories and food, and also arranging other places for those who fell sick. Those who were simply sick lived in the plantation, and those who were infected by the demonic energy were arranged to stay in the prison at the back of the mountain. They were also divided according to the degree of infection. Now, the large prison at the back of the mountain was occupied by the gnolls, and the middle prison was occupied by orcs who were infected by the demonic energy but had no way to awaken. These orcs had to wait for Yunjioga to finish her work before they had time to find a solution. Xianxia was also very busy. He grabbed Ian Shirley to do construction every day. Cloud City was changing every day. Cannons rose one after another on the city walls, and a solemn atmosphere filled the entire Cloud City. Even the most naive children knew that war was coming. They no longer ran around and played. Every day, they followed the adults of their tribes and prepared to fight for food. The plan to awaken orcs had been carried out according to plan. Currently, it was arranged according to the order of entering the city. The centaurs and bull people had successfully awakened. The golden light was awakened in the legs and horns respectively. They were all classified as combat troops by Xianxia. According to Yunjioga's plan, they should go to the wild boar tribe next. At this time, Zhe brought a fox youth to see her. Lady Yun, this is Sang. He said he has something to report to you, Zhe said. This youth was very beautiful. His skin was white, and his facial features were exquisite. His eyes were arched upwards, and he dragged a big, fluffy brown tail behind him. As soon as he saw Yunjioga come out, he got up and placed his right hand on his chest. He bowed respectfully. Honorable Lady Yun, thank you for providing food and a place for my people. I will forever be loyal to you on behalf of the Fox tribe. I accept the friendship of the Fox tribe. Yunjioga nodded with a reserved and noble smile. After sitting down, she asked Sang, may I know why you're looking for me? I heard that Lady Yun is forming a medical team. The Golden Light Orcs of our Fox tribe just happen to have special medical abilities, Sang said proudly. Your Fox tribe knows how to heal? Yunjioga was shocked. She thought the Fox tribe would be better at illusions. Yes, our Fox tribe is proficient in all herbs in the secret realm. We've developed countless medicines that are very effective against all sorts of illnesses of the orcs, Sang said passionately. Wait. Yunjioga stopped Sang and asked in confusion. After the black rain, most of the plants died. What else is there other than the big jade grass that can stop bleeding? That's right. After the black rain, only the big jade grass is left. Our Fox tribe has more than 10 prescriptions for it, Sang said. These prescriptions should only have the ability to stop bleeding, right? Yunjioga felt that Sang was tricking her. Yes. Sang's expression didn't change even after being exposed by Yunjioga. She continued, actually, the healing abilities of the orcs are very strong. The ones that really can't heal are the mental injuries. Our Fox tribe's golden light ability has a special effect on this. It can alleviate all their illnesses and achieve rapid healing. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.